Hello? Can you guys hear me now? Oh my god. Dude, I think I'd scuffed that. Can you guys hear me now? Konulu! I'm your main VTuber! Lulubelle! Welcome to our Just Chatting stream. In case I was muted the whole time, I'm just gonna reintroduce myself again. Welcome! Thank you so much for coming by the Just Chatting stream where we talk about Resident Evil and about our casual marathon that just ended. So, have you guys enjoyed the stream? Welcome in Kyubey, welcome in Xiao, welcome in Darren, welcome in Wanello, and hello to those lurking and those watching VOD. Hi everyone! It's been a long marathon. I think the whole marathon took about 10, 11, 12, 3, 4 months now. Very long time. The past 4 months has been nothing but Resident Evil. I remember at some point in month 2 or something, I was like, oh my god, my life, all I know is just zombie hunting. I feel like I am an expert at zombie hunting. Yeah, but it's finally here. It's finally here. Resident Evil marathon is over, and now it's time to debrief. Let me see if I can find like an audio to put in the background. If not, I could also just talk in silence so you guys can put your own songs in the background. Let's see. But I hope everyone's day has been going well. Media. Will you be loud? I think so. Ah, there you go. Can you guys hear the soundtrack? I think so. Filters. Audio. Yeah, you guys can hear. Awesome. Let me know if it's too low, okay? But yeah, it is discussion time. Let's see. Where is my... Is it this one? No. Is it this one? Yes, it is! I brought out a poll. So the last 4 months has been really... The last 4 months have been hectic. Oh, there's Revelations here and Veronica and Gaiden. But I never played any of these games, so I'm just gonna focus on the games that I did play, which is Resident Evil 0 to 8. Good evening, everyone, and Lulu. Good evening, Stefan. Welcome in. Hello, everyone. Time for your discussion marathon tonight. It is. I'm excited to hear your guys' thoughts on this too. Yeah, I'm excited for that as well. Welcome in, Empty Wallet. Hello, everybody. Okay, Alpha Team. Debrief time. It is debrief time. The last 4 months have been really long, but it was very enjoyable. I'm so glad. I can't believe I never knew what Resident Evil was until now. But better now than later, I think. I also gave myself some notes to go over as well, so I will be probably consulting that every now and then. But I feel like it's good to start from the very beginning. So where is 0? Oh, here it is. Resident Evil 0. Oh, hang on a second. This is S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, and D tier. How about I change this to... Excuse me. How about I change this to 10 out of 10? I don't know, 8 out of 10? 6 out of 10? 4 out of 10? And then 2 out of 10? Should I add in one more? If it's a 2 out of 10, I might as well round it up to 0 out of 10. Same thing with... or no, hang on. How about 9 out of 10? Yeah... 8 out of 10, and then 5 out of 10. Yeah, we'll do the rankings like this. I might tweak this later on if I don't like it. But for now, I think, and this should look good. So let's start with Resident Evil 0. How I felt about Resident Evil 0 overall. So the story for Resident Evil 0 is that the Rebecca is sent, I think she's Bravo team or something. Rebecca is sent out on a mission to check out no, I actually don't know what team she's in, but she is basically like backup that gets sent to investigate something, but things don't actually work out well for her and her team, and so they all split up, and she ends up in a train, and in the train she meets Billy. And from there they both have to work together to get to make sure that they stay out of harm's way and, you know, escape the mysterious facility that they're stuck in. Right? So that is their story. So these are our duo protagonists. So my opinion about this game is that I thought that the story was really good. It was very simple. I know that this came after Resident Evil 1, so they were just kind of like throwing in details that still fit within the Resident Evil 1 like storyline. But I thought it was a pretty good story. I really enjoyed Rebecca's story. I think she was just like, we didn't really expand too much on her, but she was a pretty sweet character, a good protagonist, I would say. The main focus of this game has got to be Billy, and I think the writers did take a lot of time to focus on his character as well, because the unfortunate thing about this game is that it did feel unfinished. There are times where I feel like some parts of the story didn't have a lot of build up to it. Not only that, but certain fights feel very short too. So I feel like they maybe focused a bit too much on making sure that Billy's story was fleshed out rather than focusing too much on the game design. So it did feel short at times, but I don't think it's a bad game because of that. I still think it was pretty well done. Let's see, what else? We got to read about Wesker and Birkins's rivalry here, which I do want to expand on later on. Billy was a really good character because of his whole PTSD thing. I was really surprised to find out about that scene. I thought he was just gonna be like a cool, nonchalant character. You know, he's like, oh, I'm super masculine, and you know, I don't really let crazy events, you know, affect me. I thought he was that kind of character, but in a scene of the game, he sees a pile of corpses and he gets thrown into a PTSD flashback, and we got to see his past through his eyes. I thought that was very, very well done, and I really like that he's paired with Rebecca, who is very grounded, and she keeps Billy focused as well on pressing forward. So actually in that scene, I was also wondering if Rebecca also caught on that Billy was having a flashback, like a PTSD episode, because Rebecca's like a prodigy medical student, a medical person. So she might have even noticed that he was having an episode, so maybe she like snapped him out of it. I don't know. I really like these two as a pair. I'm so glad that this game exists. Overall, I thought it was pretty good. But yeah, there are some parts of the game that did feel unfinished. I wonder if it was because they were running out of time or inner production conflict. I really would not know, but I thought it did feel short. I thought we would see more of Tyrant because I think we only fought him like what, 2 times? Yeah, so it was a short game, but just because it's short doesn't mean it's bad. Honestly, there's days I think Rebecca and Billy should have been continued. Really? Like Billy shows up to her work one day, yo, and then Rebecca's like, "What? You're convicted! You're a criminal! What are you doing here?" And then Billy's like, "Remember, Billy died a while ago. I'm a different character now. I'm Millie." Or something like that. Rebecca's like, "Oh, okay. Hey, Millie." I guess that would have been really cool to explore too. Good evening, Lulu. My power went out last night, so I couldn't watch the end of the stream. I did catch up though. Congrats on beating RE1. Thank you. It was a really fun experience, and I will actually expand more on my thoughts on Resident Evil 1 after I'm done. After I'm done ranking this, which is I am kind of thinking it's a 10 out of 10. Although I am also leaning to a 8 out of 10 as well. Let me move this to 8 out of 10. I really don't know how I'm gonna do this ranking system, but I would say that maybe I can't pick because I really like the dual player mode where you can switch between 2 characters. I found that really fun. You know, I'm gonna keep it at 10 out of 10. Overall, I thought that Resident Evil 0 was a pretty good game. Absolutely adored Rebecca. Absolutely adored Billy. I like the little... Excuse me. I like the little bits and pieces where we got to see Wesker. But the game did feel short, so maybe I will just kind of put you over here. But it was like perfectly short, I think. I'll just keep it at 10 out of 10. I feel like all the complaints that I have for this game are very minuscule, and I feel like I'm nitpicking, so I'll keep it at 10 out of 10. So overall, Resident Evil 0, I really enjoyed the games. I will keep it at 10 out of 10. Next is Resident Evil 1. Oh, apparently Resident Evil 0 is getting a remake, which I'm kind of interested. I'm kind of interested in. I wonder if they're gonna put more things into the game. Okay, next one is Resident Evil 1. We just finished this last night. I have a lot of thoughts on it. The story for Resident Evil 1 is that Chris's team gets... I don't know if they're the original team. No, they must not be. Chris's team is also the backup for a different team that went to investigate the Spencer Mansion or a different incident. And on the way there, they actually get ambushed by zombie dogs and zombies. And so the only remaining team is Chris, Jill, and Wesker who make it to the Spencer Mansion. And from there, horrors unravel. My opinion about the game was that I thought that it was a beautifully done story. The pacing and the map design was really cool. The slow reveal of Lisa Trevor was really cool too. It was of course it was like really sad to hear about her backstory, but the tension and the build up to it was just so well done. It like makes you feel like so bad for Lisa Trevor. But the slow reveal of Lisa, who turns out that she wasn't actually the antagonist, but it was actually Wesker, was really well done too. I feel like there's a lot to think about. How do I say this? there is a lot to unpack with Chris's perspective and his journey in Resident Evil 1. I don't know. I think it'll be really fun to sit here and just kind of explore his feelings about all this, because in Resident Evil 1, one by one he starts losing all of his teammates. He loses all of Bravo team. He loses some people in Alpha team. He eventually loses sight of Jill, who I'm pretty sure he like respected a lot before Resident Evil 1 took place. You know, he loses sight of Jill. So I'm pretty sure he feels very disoriented and lost while he's investigating Spencer Mansion. But despite it all, he continues to push forward. Even though he's scared, even though he's injured, like he still pushes forward. And I really like that showcase of bravery on his end. Not only that, but he also eventually loses his captain that he probably looks up to and respects. So there's just a lot to like explore with that. You know, if you lose all of your coworkers, maybe even your friends, and then you lose your captain, like what else is there? Like what else is there other than like you start losing a piece of yourself too, right? Because all these people that you looked up to and you care for, they die in front of you, or they sacrifice themselves for you, and it's like, oh my god, you can never go back to the same person you were before Resident Evil 1. So he might have lost his teammates and coworkers and his captain in Resident Evil 1, but I think most importantly he also lost a part of himself. And so because he leaves behind an old version of himself in the Spencer expansion, the version of himself that's powerless and weak, he puts that behind him and he moves. I guess he packs up and moves to Europe, so that never happens again. So I don't know, just that entire event is really cool to like kind of explore, I think. What else? I kind of like that this game had an item box, unlike Resident Evil 0. I wonder if in the Resident Evil 0 remake we're gonna get item boxes. I hope so, low-key, because I don't want to put things on the floor, right? We are past those primitive ways. Overall, I thought that this was a pretty good game. The game design was well done. I actually really liked going back and forth. Every map felt intentional, and every story was also felt intentional. I really liked the zombies. I liked knifing them from the back. The Crimson Heads was a really challenging monster as well. And then the journey from the mansion to the courtyard to the shed where we meet Lisa Trevor was really cool too. And then the journey back to the mansion, to the laboratory was really cool. I don't know. Overall, I felt like it was a perfect 10 out of 10 game. So I am gonna put Resident Evil 1 all the way up here. I feel like it was a 10 out of 10 game. Next time I play this, I would love to replay it through Jill just to see what else I missed, but I'm pretty sure my opinion will still stay the same even after I play it. So I would say that Resident Evil 1 is a 10 out of 10. Hello, welcome in, Snake Guy. Hello, how goes the Leon ranking? Leon ranking, no, we're ranking all of the Resident Evil games. Hello, welcome in, VCC Wolf. Hello. Okay, so that was Resident Evil 1. Resident Evil 2, where is that? There you are. So I did not play the original, so I don't know. My only opinion of Resident Evil 2 is the remake, but I would like to eventually play Resident Evil OG just to see what's different, you know. Resident Evil 0 inventory was like going to a grocery without a cart and you have to hold everything in your hand. It did feel like it, yeah. It felt like a whole... the inventory management felt like a whole different game on its own. It was at some point very mentally stimulating for me. Anyway, this next one is Resident Evil 2 Remake. So the story for this is that, what, 2 years after Resident Evil 1, the zombie apocalypse finally hits Raccoon City, and the whole town gets turned upside down. And our protagonist this time is Leon and Claire. Leon wants to know why he hasn't been called in for work, and Claire wants to know what happened to her brother who went missing for 2 years. So that's the story of Resident Evil 2. What I thought about Resident Evil was that I thought it was pretty well done. To me, it felt like maybe Claire was added because people really like Chris, and they're like, well, we kind of want to expand more on his backstory. Maybe they would also like Claire, who is his sister. God, there are times where I wish that I was there when these games were released so I can hear the public's opinions about them. I feel like that would have been really cool as well. Anyway, Claire, I found out that Claire was actually a tomboy, and I assumed that happened because Claire and Chris lost both their parents at a really young age. So I guess Claire had to look up to her brother as kind of like a role model. I kind of like that too. It gives her like a cute side of her. Apparently she really likes motorcycles and guns. And I hope that we get to continue. If we ever see more of Claire in the later games, I hope that we continue to see that version of her, the very brash and tomboyish side of her. Because apparently in one of the games, I think it's Code Veronica, she gets reduced down to like a very girly person. I forget what. Maybe it was in the movie. Which is cute, I think, but me personally, I would love to see more of tomboy Claire, you know? What else? I felt that the story was pretty good. I like that you have to play both campaigns to understand the full picture. While I didn't feel like it was just as solid as Resident Evil 1, I did think that it was a pretty good game. It just felt a little short and maybe not as realized as Resident Evil 1, but still was a pretty good game overall. So I'm gonna put... I don't know. I think Resident Evil 2 feels like a 10 out of 10. Or an 8 out of 10. It's one of these. I'm gonna put an 8 out of 10 for now, in case I change my mind. Yeah, overall, I really enjoyed Resident Evil 2. Oh, I really enjoyed Leon's character. I don't know what he was like in the original Resident Evil 2, but I kind of like how much of a big heart that he has. I like that it shows him like very bright-eyed and eager to help people. And it was really interesting to see how the events of Resident Evil 2 changes him as well. In the same way that Resident Evil 1 changes Chris, I can see the same happening in Resident Evil 2 as well. He sees people get hurt and lose their lives, and he takes responsibility for it, and that's because Leon is just that kind of guy. So him getting really shook over these people dying and taking responsibility over it and wanting to do better was very admirable to see of Leon. So his character was, I thought it was pretty well fleshed out of Resident Evil 2. Although I wouldn't say not as much as Claire, but it was still pretty good to see. So I'm gonna put it at 8 out of 10. Next one is Resident Evil 3. Here it is. Resident Evil 3. So apparently this game was released alongside Resident Evil 2 or shortly after. which I thought was a pretty good idea because they both kind of they take place at the same time, right? So I thought that was a pretty cool idea. The story for Resident Evil 3 was that 2 years after the events of Resident Evil 1, Jill tries to figure out why did this happen, who else was involved, and she's just trying to figure out what's the word? Orchestrated all of this. I have a lot of feelings about Resident Evil 3. So the story for Resident Evil 3 was that because she's traumatized from Resident Evil 1, she's trying to figure out who orchestrated all of this so she can right this wrong, right? But I feel like they kind of portray her incorrectly because for Chris, after Resident Evil 1 happens, he goes straight to Europe. He starts like being proactive about how he can fix this. But for Jill, we kind of see her be passive about this whole situation. Like, yeah, she's doing a lot of research, and eventually she does hit like I guess she does hit like a wall in her research, and so she's just kind of holed up in her house. I didn't really like that because well, there's a lot of reasons why I didn't like it. First of all, I didn't really like that storytelling because that means that Jill never changes in Resident Evil 3, at least in the remake. So in the beginning of the story, we see her trying to figure out who done it. She doesn't know, I guess, or she's still in the middle of trying to figure it out. And at the very end of the game, she's still the same person. That one random guy is like, oh, you know, you can't kill me because if you kill me, then you won't ever figure out who hired me and yada yada yada. And Jill says to him like, you know, I think I'll take my chances. I'll just do some detective work. Which means that like she never learned anything from the beginning of the game too. She's still the same person. And it makes you think like, well, what was the whole point of playing the game, right? So it did feel like very static, and I mean, I think you can make static characters and that can make for a good story, but I don't think they really executed that well. It just felt like after I was done playing Resident Evil 3, it felt like, well, did anything change? I didn't really like the story because of that. Nothing really changed. Another point I wanted to make for Resident Evil 3 was how she copes with her PTSD. So just like Chris, she gets traumatized, but you know, she's pretty it felt like she was being pretty passive about investigating Umbrella, which is probably not true, but to me it felt like it because if I'm interpreting Jill's character right, she seems like a very proactive character. Throughout the entirety of Resident Evil 3, she's portrayed as a go-getter. Anything that gets thrown her way, she is able to overcome. So I just feel like for a very determined and a strong character like Jill, I don't think she would have holed up in her room trying to investigate Umbrella in a very passive way. I think she would have gone to Europe with Chris and figure out herself like what was happening. I even think that she should have just gone undercover, like gave up her badge in the STARS office, went undercover and figured out what was going on John Wick style. Like I really think that she could have been a very badass character if she was written in the same way that John Wick was written. People in the higher ups or people in Umbrella are like, oh my god, you know, that's Jill Valentine. Everybody's heard of her. We gotta throw everything we've got to take her down because otherwise she's gonna leak our secrets and she's gonna literally she's literally going to dismantle our entire like organization. We had to throw like nemesis, we have to throw biohazards, we have to throw her everything. And it would have been so badass to see Jill take everybody down John Wick style. And in fact, every time a goon gets sent her way, it would have been cooler to see her get even stronger and stronger. But, you know, for a character that is super strong, I feel like we should give her a very good flaw as well. Maybe her flaw can be similar to Chris. Kind of like she prioritizes the mission over her own personal like well-being, or I don't know, the smaller details. So maybe she gets herself hurt. It would have been really cool to see Capcom explore her story like that. But unfortunately, I do feel like this team don't really know how to write women, which I want to expand on, especially on the later games. I really don't think they know how to write women. So Jill's character really did fall flat. She could have been a super strong character. I feel like she would be on par with Chris and Leon, maybe even stronger. But I think because they don't really know how to write women, it just kind of felt off. Again, in Resident Evil 2, Leon goes from being a puppy, bright-eyed little guy, and he becomes very hardened and traumatized. Yeah, he becomes very hardened and traumatized. In the beginning of Resident Evil 1, Chris is also like very... I think he was supposed to be written as a very rebellious, youthful character. But then, who's kind of reckless. But then at the end of the game, he loses all these people and he becomes very humble. He becomes very experienced in battle. And so both of these characters change after their respective games, but Resident Evil 3, Jill just kind of stays the same way. I just feel like it would have been cool if we expanded on that. Actually, didn't Jill also break up with her boyfriend in the OG? So again, I just don't really get that, because what is the point of her breaking up with her boyfriend? Like, why is that an integral part of the story? I feel like the integral part of the story should have been her coping with her PTSD from Resident Evil 1. So yeah, it just felt like all over the place. Not only that, but I hear from other people that there was a lot of things in the game that got cut, which I'm a little sad about. Apparently there was this whole thing with the clock tower. I feel like it would have been really cool to see her scale the clock tower. John Wick style again. I want to see Jill be a badass. So maybe later on Capcom will make a game where it's Jill focused. That would have been cool. I guess Carlos was pretty cool too. Nemesis was pretty cool. Although I would say that between the two stalkers, I think I really like Mr. X. There's something, you know, I feel like there's something I feel like between the two, I would say that Mr. X is much more cooler looking. Maybe even sexier looking. Nemesis, he's just okay. I'm gonna put Resident Evil 3 right here. 5 out of 10. It was just an okay game. It was very short too. Another thing, before I move on to the next game, I feel like Resident Evil 3 should have, yes, explored more on Jill's thoughts on the whole event here. But I also wonder if Jill and Chris would have trauma bonded over the events of Resident Evil 1 as well. I just wanted to say that. Next is Resident Evil 4. Here it is. Resident Evil 4 Remake. I have a lot of strong feelings about Resident Evil 4. First things first, I want to put it at 10 out of 10. I think it's a very it's a masterpiece, I would say. The golden child of all of the Resident Evil games, in my opinion. The story for Resident Evil 4 is that Leon, after what, 4 or 6 years for the event of Resident Evil 2, he undergoes special training and gets hired by the president to go retrieve his daughter, who is being used, or who is in the process of being used as a pawn by a cult. So that's the story of Resident Evil 4. My opinion of it is that I think every part of Resident Evil 4 is a masterpiece. Initially, the story feels very small. It's very simple and small. Your mission is to go rescue Ashley, and so the first map that you enter is a village, and it's a very small village. So not only does it feel small, but it feels very compact. So in this little small map, you're learning how to play the game, you're learning more about the story, you're getting to know a little bit more about Leon. So your world is very small. And then eventually, the next map that you need to get into is the lake, which is significantly much more bigger than the village. And so it feels like, psychologically, it feels like you're entering a next part of the game. At the lake, you get more tasks, you get stronger weapons. At the lake, you also find out more about the cult. You get introduced to different characters. So your world starts expanding bit by bit. And the next map level after that... Sorry. The next map level after that is even bigger and bigger. So first it's the village, then it's the lake, then it's a castle. And at the castle, more enemies get thrown in. But unlike Resident Evil 6, where it felt like very all over the place, Resident Evil 4 felt very contained, very methodical, and calculated in the way that it introduced new elements to the story. There was good enough build-up, and as soon as you feel yourself getting used to one part of the map, that's when they start introducing more characters, more plot points, and the pacing of it just was... The pacing of Resident Evil 4 was just done so perfectly. I have no complaints about it. So I really enjoyed that. First, your objective was to save the princess from another castle. Save the princess that's in another castle, and then it eventually gets turned into... Actually, the princess is infected with this parasite called the plaga, which is being used as a mind-controlling thing by one guy who is hiring this other guy who hired your mentor from a couple years ago. Not only that, but the parasites are being used in a laboratory. They're like a biohazard experiment made in a laboratory. Oh wait, it's not just any laboratory, it's Umbrella's laboratory, and they just like make this story very complicated, but it's like very easy to understand. And it somehow ties back to Umbrella, and I think that callback was so well done too, because Leon is connected to Umbrella from the events of Resident Evil 2. That was really well done. I also really like the switch to Ashley's perspective too, Ashley's gameplay, because from how I'm understanding is that a lot of people was very angry at Ashley. There were times where they would get annoyed by her, and I'm not sure if her perspective was a thing in the OG, but Capcom making Ash's perspective a thing in Resident Evil 4, I felt like that was pretty well done, because now a girl who never really had an autonomy or like agency over what was happening, we finally get to see her take a little form of agency in her own way by trying to save Leon, and I thought that was pretty well done. The melee was really fun too. So the story overall was good, the melee was good, the map design was beautiful too. The village was okay, but I think the castle was so beautiful. I think the library was so nice. Low-key, the laboratory, it says design was so creepy. So it was done so well. The military fortress was a little crazy. But I really enjoyed that part too. I don't know. I could just always say something nice about Resident Evil 4. So yeah, everything felt right. It felt like the writers entered a flow state as they were writing Resident Evil 4. Every beat just made sense. It made sense. Luis made sense. Ada was surprising, but it still made a lot of sense. Our version of Stalker was the one priest guy, huh? He was okay. I still like Mr. X. I think he was the best stalker in all the game. But I thought he was pretty good too. The reason why I put Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 4 next to each other in terms of 10 and 10 was because, I mean, quite literally, Resident Evil 1 set the foundations for... Yeah, set the foundation for the rest of the game. And because of that, I think that's why Resident Evil 4 was such a masterpiece. It has a lot of callbacks, or it does a lot of things that Resident Evil 1 did. Like the grenade launcher, the laboratory thing, the character entering a small map, and then as they progress their journey, they realize that this battle is a lot more bigger than they initially thought. I thought that was really well done. So Resident Evil 4 was really, really cool. Oh, another thing that I really liked was the Krauser thing. So apparently in the OG, I found out that Krauser was meant to be Leonce's rival, right? Which, when I first heard it, I thought that was kind of meh. Because I know that that meant that Krauser was only written to make Leon cooler. And I don't like stories where they do that, where they put a bunch of mediocre characters around this one particular character to make that character look cooler. Like, I think it's kind of lazy and also a bit egotistical because, you know, just because a person has mediocre characters next to it doesn't make them any cooler. What makes a character cool is their character, their conviction, their personality, what their version of strength looks like. And for Leon, and at least in the remake, I thought this version of Leon was really cool because we get to see all of that. He kind of proves himself as a cool guy. He makes stupid jokes. He makes stupid jokes that doesn't demean people. He is very strong physically, and he portrays himself as a very very masculine character. Just how he's portrayed in Resident Evil 4 is very, very cool. And I liked how he's depicted in this game because of that. He proves himself as a cool character, and he, unlike in Resident Evil 4 OG, he's I don't know. I haven't played the game yet, so I feel like I shouldn't really. I feel like maybe my opinion would change because I'm sure that OG Leon also has his cool moments. I'm so sure he does, but you know, the fact that Resident Evil 4 OG has Krauser next to him to make Leon look better, I didn't really like that. So that's why I really like Resident Evil 4 remake, because Krauser is his mentor now. So now, instead of being a rival, Krauser becomes someone that Leon surpasses, and he does, but with some sacrifices. So I thought that was really well done. I don't know. Overall, Resident Evil 4 is a 10 out of 10 story. I wish I could put this at a 20 out of 10. Jill becoming Ada's apprentice. Actually, I did write a note about that. I was thinking, how cool would it be if Jill was to oppose or even became Ada's rival in some way? Because both of them don't really have... Both Ada and Jill don't really work for... They don't really pick a side. Ada basically works for whoever pays her the most, and Jill has her own strong set of morals. So she doesn't really get tied down by other people. So in a way, it feels like they're both foils. So it would have been cool if they were both rivals in that way. Resident Evil 4 is probably my first RE game and introduction of the series. Mine was too! Was yours remake or the OG? Hi Lulu! Merry almost Christmas! How are you? Hello, welcome in, Cowl! I'm doing pretty good, how are you? I used to have this really bad cough, but I feel like it's going away now, which I'm relieved because I did not want to get into New Year's sick, you know? So I'm feeling much better. I hope you've been fine as well. Oh, you played the OG on the PS2! Lucky. I want to play. Oh, I actually have the OG game, so the next time I do another Resident Evil marathon, instead of playing the remake, I could just boot up the OG. But I did see bits and pieces of the OG Leon in Resident Evil 4. And he's cute, but between the two, I would prefer Resident Evil Remake Leon. Anyway, Resident Evil 4 is a 10 out of 10. I wish it was 100 out of 10. Yeah. Oh, another thing that I thought was genius was Resident Evil 4 takes horror tropes and supernatural phenomenons, and they twist it into a very realistic scientific version of it. So for example, the poltergeists in libraries. So in a horror genre, libraries tend to have a lot of ghosts. And in Resident Evil 4 Remake, they... Actually, I don't know if OG does it too, but at least in Resident Evil 4, they turn the ghosts into knights that are being possessed by the parasites, and they have these knights like haunting the book, haunting the library. I thought that was so well done. Another thing was, what else did they do that I thought was really cool? What's another horror element that they've done? This is kind of a stretch, but the huge fish in the lake. Some people have myths. Some cultures have myths where there's like creatures. They're like huge creatures in the lake. And it's like, I don't know, it's like a monster or whatever. But in Resident Evil 4, you can clearly see that it's like it's a science experiment. It's a science experiment. I thought that was pretty cool. The scientific explanation of horror tropes. That was really cool. What next? I guess we can talk about Resident Evil 5. Where is Resident Evil 5? There it is. Resident Evil 5. Dun dun dun. Dude, oh man, I have so many thoughts on this. Okay, so Resident Evil 5's story was that we start focusing on Chris and his new partner Sheva. I think, yeah, we see Chris as he's no longer the puny STARS officer anymore, but he's a jacked, really huge, bulky, heavy BSA agent now. So he's made a name for himself as established by Sheva. She's like, oh, you know, your reputation precedes you. And then Chris is like, just Chris is fine. Like, these two Chris's are totally different. And I guess that was really cool to see. So these two get deployed to some place. I forget where. They get deployed to a new place together. That's his new partner. But he's haunted. Chris is still haunted by the loss of his old partner, Jill. Which I don't really know what happened with that. I thought maybe Chris losing Jill was gonna be explored in Resident Evil 1. So I was very surprised that Chris was able to save Jill, because I thought he was gonna lose her. And then Chris and Wesker were gonna fight in front of Spencer, the grandpa. Then Jill sacrifices herself. I thought that was gonna happen, but I guess not. Anyway, what I felt about Resident Evil 5 was that it was a very good campy game. I didn't think it was a very good story though. I had so much fun playing this game with CL, like to the point where, you know, I would look back onto this game very fondly. Like, I have nothing but I can think about like 5 different memories I had with this game and it was just so much fun. But I feel like story-wise, it had too much fun, and I don't think there were many serious parts of this. Like, for some reason, Jill got captured by Wesker, and Wesker is wearing this full leather, right? Full leather outfit. He's gone full evil mode. And also there's these 2 scientist guys that are basically Wesker's goons. I don't know. There was a lot of stories that was still confusing for me. But one thing I really enjoyed about Resident Evil 5 was that it still stuck to the core themes of Resident Evil. The main theme of Resident Evil is that the antagonist isn't, you know, your neighbor, or it isn't the zombies. It's not your mentor. It's corporations. It's the higher ups that have power over it talks about the real antagonist is organizations that have power over land, over people. We see them explore that in all of these games, especially in Resident Evil 2. In Resident Evil 2, they explore how organizations take advantage of people. They take advantage of prisoners, dogs, and orphans. And we find out that these people experimented on. We found out that Umbrella experimented on these people who regularly get exploited. So I thought that was really cool. I thought that was very punk rock of Resident Evil. Where else? Oh, and they expand on that in Resident Evil 5 as well. We see that Umbrella exploits where in the world are we? We see that Umbrella or some other corporations exploits these group of people, and they they do like experiments on them, and it's really horrible. It's like real life things that happen in the real world too. So I thought that was very punk rock of Resident Evil to explore, and I'm glad that they did the same thing in Resident Evil 5. So I want to put Resident Evil in here or here. I feel like maybe it's not up here because the game is just so silly, but I feel like it belongs up here because of how silly it is. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm gonna put it right here for now, but I feel like it should be up here too. But if I change my mind, I'll put it up there. But for now, I want to say that it's an 8 out of 10. Resident Evil 5 was a wonderful game. It was just a little too silly. But I don't think it's a crime. I don't think that makes it a bad game. I really don't. I feel like maybe if they took out the green filter, if they maybe took a little bit more time expanding on every map design, did more build-ups, maybe that would be fine. So it's an imperfect game, but it's not a bad game. I want to reiterate. Hello, welcome in Manila. Kanlulu. Oh, the giants, maybe. Yeah. In Resident Evil 4, giants who are considered to be like mythical creatures, they explain that, you know, it's because they've been experimented on. Actually, are the giants that show up in Resident Evil 4, are they the same giants that show up in Resident Evil 6? One of these days, I have to sit down and start journaling. Like, which monsters, which virus made which? Like, I need to seriously study. LOL, 5 made Chris known as the Boulder Puncher Man. I do like that. Yeah, that was a little. That's the thing. It's very campy, right? A lot of memes came out from Resident Evil 5, like complete global saturation or 7 minutes. 7 minutes is all I get spare to play with you. I haven't laughed that hard. Like, I haven't laughed so hard in like Resident Evil 5 made me laugh so hard. I didn't even know that it was possible. I remember like feeling like I was gonna throw up at some point because of how hard I was laughing. I had a lot of fun. I wish it was higher up. I'm gonna keep it at 8 out of 10 for now. RE5 felt like watching an arcade shooter. Oh, true! You know what? It's true. It was very fun like one too. Like, you boot this game up. Like, what's it called? Resident Evil 5. Well, hang on. You're like at a pizza restaurant, and I don't know. You're done eating with your friends, and you guys are like kind of fooling around, and then you see that Resident Evil 5 is in the corner, and you have to pay with quarters. It does feel like that a little bit. It just feels like a kind of game that you play with friends or your brother. Your big brother. Okay, next one is... Oh, wait, hang on. Before I begin, or before I continue, I can't believe that Wesker takes another L in this game. He takes a big fat L in this game. Because we don't even see him like do any action. He gets like sliced down by the prototype tyrant, and he never gets up. And then in Resident Evil 5, he takes another L too. Oh god, Wesker. A horrible time for Wesker fans all over the world. It was still cool though. He beat the crap out of Chris a couple times in Resident Evil 5, but in the end, Chris triumphed. Chris triumphed over their battle. Oh, which is what I wanted to talk about. Apparently in Resident Evil Revelations, one of these. Apparently, someone in chat said that Chris and Wesker's rivalry gets expanded more, which kind of makes me very interested, because I think those two as a rival work so well together. In Resident Evil 0, they talk about how William, Birkin, and Wesker are rivals, right? I forgot who it was. Spencer. It was some guy who was overseeing these two. And he wrote in his journal, Birkin and Wesker work really well together, and I would like for people to foster their rivalry just to see what would happen. And sure, I think we can see William Birkin and Wesker as rivals, but the true rival is between Chris. I would say the true rival is between Chris and Wesker, because hear me out. Yes, Birkin and Wesker are rivals, but there is no stakes. There is no growth between the two. Like, they are competing between their intelligence and their wit, but again, there is no growth because their plane of the field that they are competing in sorry, the field the field that they're competing in has no consequences, has no real real growth. It's all just hypotheses and theories because they're in a laboratory. Like whatever theories that they have are only applied to other people. Like they're not risking their lives, they're not losing or gaining anything. They're using other people as pawns to expand their theories, and therefore I feel like they aren't actually rivals because of that. Because if either one of them don't really gain or lose in that field, then there is no actual growth. But with Chris and Wesker, there is actual growth. There is real rivalry between them, because if those two meet, there are actual stakes involved. If Chris loses a man while fighting Wesker, that means that Chris has a lower chance of defeating Wesker. If Wesker just nonchalantly, half-assedly makes a plan just to get rid of Chris, and he loses, if he does a sloppy work at it, then he's going to lose and that's gonna make him more vulnerable to Chris. So I'm saying that there's more stakes between the two of them when they're fighting, and I think that is the true rivalry. When one of them loses, that means that the other one lacked in morals, in conviction, and strength. And so I would personally say that those two are the true rivalry, not freaking Birkin and Wesker. I feel like if there's anything, William Birkin if there's anything, I would say that William Birkin and Wesker's rivalry is more of a playground thing. Now the real battle, the real fighting ring is Chris and Wesker. Co-op games always turn the fun up 100 times. Yeah, that's why I'm really looking forward to playing Resident Evil 6 with real people. Cause I just know that it's gonna be like 100 times more fun. So yeah, there's my thoughts. I like Code Veronica because that's when you see their first rivalry blooming. This one, I didn't know that Wesker would show up in this. That's interesting. Maybe I will look into playing it. Anyway, what was I talking about? Resident Evil 6. Oh my goodness. Holy crap. Resident Evil 6 felt very I'm gonna get so passionate about Resident Evil 6. I'm trying to reel it in because I want to make sense. Give me 1 second. So, Resident Evil 6, I have a lot of mixed feelings about. Because initially, I really disliked it. But then as I was playing the game, I was like, holy crap, this is peak! This is actually so fire! But then there were some parts where it also felt like a 0, and then some parts where it felt like a 10 out of 10. So I just wanna... let me take a moment to kind of sit down and really, like, flesh it out. So, the story for Resident Evil 6 is that there are 4 campaigns. There's Leon, there's Chris, there's Jake, and there's Ada. So all of their stories tie in to each other eventually somehow. We first start with Leon's campaign, which is that he failed to protect the president. Which is so crazy because the first time that my first game was Resident Evil 4, and he managed to protect the president's daughter. But then we move on to Resident Evil 6, and it like cold cuts into Leon failing to save the president, which is really, really funny. Actually, is Revelation... no, not Revelation. Are the movies here? No, they're not. Okay, very well. I'll talk about the movies later. Cold cuts to Leon failing to save the president, and that adds to his backstory. We are partnered up with Helena, and together with Helena, oh god, this was so bad. Okay, so they're both paired up with Helena. Sorry, they're both paired up with each other. We find out that actually Helena had something to do with all this. And Helena was directly involved or indirectly involved in the president's death and the zombie apocalypse. Leon asks why. Helena just keeps egging him on and is like, well, maybe I'll tell you later. And so she doesn't really tell him, and we just get dragged on like this for like five different chapters. I thought this was so bad, actually. Like, oh, why couldn't you just tell me? Just tell me that your sister... It would have been so easy. Oh, you know, so my sister, and I got kidnapped by these evil people. And these evil people made me do XYZ thing. And so I was kind of forced to do it. But, you know, that doesn't excuse my behavior, so arrest me. It would have been so easy to just talk about it, but then because otherwise the campaign would have felt very short. It wouldn't make for a good story. I guess the team decided to like just drag it out, which I felt like that was a bit... I thought that was kind of executed poorly. I really didn't enjoy that. One thing that I did enjoy was that at some point in Leon's campaign, it felt like an arcade shooter as well. Especially the part where Leon and Helena run into a group of other survivors, and you know, the duo and the survivors need to like survive together to make it to the church. God, I thought that was so... I'm remembering everything now. I thought that was done so horribly. I'm so sorry, chat. I'm so sorry, chat. You know that I'll try to see the silver lining and everything. It's just, I thought that was so written horribly, because what was the point? What was the point in trying to survive with a group of survivors? What was the point of Helena delaying the truth for so long? What was the point of Leon's campaign? Like, actually, like, I get that in Leon's campaign they were trying to show that, you know, the zombie apocalypse is a dog-eat-dog world, and no matter what you do, there's no point. Everyone will die. Everyone you love will die. Go kill yourself, you know? It felt very... It felt like that in Leon's campaign. Which I didn't like, because we already went through that in Resident Evil 2. And I get that they bring it back because, you know, they want to remind you. And for first-time players, they want to show you how much of a dog-eat-dog world is a zombie apocalypse. But it felt unnecessary. Like, we already know. Like, you see that, like, the dog-eat-dog apocalypse world only works if the character is still very hopeful and is inexperienced and is a puppy-esque character, because the dog-eat-dog world, like, whole storyline is there to teach the protagonist, I guess, that, you know, it's to test the characters' morals and to test their conviction, their morals, you know, all that stuff. It's to test the protagonist. But there was nothing to test. That's why I felt like it was very it just felt unnecessary, because Leon already knows. Leon knows that this is a dog-eat-dog world. He's had 2 other games before this. In fact, now that I'm looking at the list here, it seems like he had 5 other games too. He knows. What was the point? I didn't like it. And then we get to the church, and then there's like a bunch of survivors there, And because of what Leon and Helena does, that contributes directly to all of the survivors dying. That was so... It just felt like shock value instead of actual quality writing. So I disliked Leon's campaign very, very much. I did kind of enjoy the part where I was trying to survive alongside the other survivors, because it felt very campy and again like an arcade shooter. But I don't know. It was cool that Leon showed up in RE6, and I like how he looks. He looks fine. He looks so handsome, but I feel like we could have done without her character. I really do. It made me feel like Leon and Helena's story was a very last addition to the game overall, because it just barely fits to the rest of the campaigns. It just barely fits with the rest of the campaign. But as a standalone story, it's not strong enough. So that I feel like it's very clear that they added Leon for marketable purposes. I think that's it. Just for marketing purposes. Because why did they go to China afterwards? I don't get it. I really, really don't get it. So that's how I feel about Leon's campaign. I felt like it was unnecessary. Before I move on over to Chris's campaign, I do want to mention that I feel like they created Resident Evil 6 just so they can make a story about Jake and Sherry, because all of their story connects back to Jake and Sherry. So that's why I feel like they're the core. When the team was making this story, it felt like they were thinking about Jake and Sherry as the main theme of the story. I'll talk about that in a bit, but next campaign that I played afterwards was Chris, I think. And for Chris's story, I thought it was done very well, and it seems like a lot of people also thought that as well. Resident Evil 6 Chris. Yeah, I'm so embarrassed. God. Oh god. I cringed a little, low-key. I low-key cringed a little during the part where Chris was drinking at a bar and he was like talking like really nasty to that one lady, and I get that it's to showcase how far he sunk, but I don't think that was necessary either. Like, first of all, don't talk to her like that. I don't think Chris is the type to talk to a woman like that. I really don't. Not only that, but why do we need to see Chris's conviction be tested? The moment that he turned in his stars badge, it should be clear to everybody, including the writers, including the audience, that he has made his decision to hunt down Umbrella and any Umbrella adjacent corporations and scientists. Like, I felt like it was clear that he was going to hunt them down no matter what, until like he finally croaks or something. I thought that it was pretty clear. So why was it that we see that being tested in Resident Evil 6? I didn't understand it. Because like in Resident Evil 5, at the very end, he does that really cool speech. I forget how it went. It was something like, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. No, I can't pull it up. It was talking about how time and time again he wonders to himself if this is worth it, and he looks over at Sheva, he looks over at Jill, and he affirms to himself, yes, this is worth it. For a future without fear, this is worth it. So Why is it in Resident Evil 6? Suddenly he takes it all back. I don't get it. Maybe they wanted to introduce a more edgier Resident Evil, but which is fine because they wanted to try something new, but if they do it at the expense of these characters who already have their personality and their characters like fleshed out, if it's to go back on those, then I don't think it's good writing. Anyway, in Chris's campaign, he starts doubting himself. He's like, oh, you know, I'm a bad captain. I let all my teammates die, blah blah blah. Like, I think that whole story was done well. I just don't think that it was in character to Chris, if that makes sense. Again, don't get me wrong. I think the Chris and Pierce's story was just so beautifully done, and it's one of my favorite parts of Resident Evil 6. I think Pierce sacrificing himself for Chris. Sorry, Pierce sacrificing himself for Chris was well done. The acting, the character writing for Chris was well done. I actually, so on my Discord server, I asked everybody to take this quiz. It's called the Poet Soldier King quiz, and it was really popular on TikTok a while back. It's based off of a song, which is apparently based off of like this whole Christianity thing. But I don't really understand that. I just know that it's a quiz. I actually want to reference this real quick. So the whole poet soldier king thing is that I hope I can explain it well. It was originally based off of a song which was based off of a Bible thing, question mark. But basically, there are three archetypes. One is the poet, who is free and devoid of any responsibilities, or like they're not really tied down to anything, but the poet does yearn to belong somewhere, and the poet yearns after the soldier because they admire that the soldier is able to commit themselves to a cause. So while the poet is you know, they like to write stories, they're very creative, they're not tied down to anything, but instead their own morals and values, they still admire the soldier and they yearn to be a soldier because they're still tied down. Meanwhile, the soldier's whole archetype is that, you know, they're soldiers, they're warriors, and they fight for a cause, but because anger is all that they've known and fighting is all that they've known, that's what their identity is based off of. The soldier yearns after the king because I don't think I'm getting this right, but my interpretation is that the soldier yearns after this king because why was it that? Because they have more power and more agency and more autonomy, I suppose. And the king has all these power and responsibility, but they are also weighed down by it. So they yearn for the poet, who is devoid of all of that, right? So it's kind of like a full circle moment. So the reason why I bring this up is because I feel like Chris really fits in that archetype. In the beginning, he is a poet. So in Resident Evil 1, he is a poet. In fact, a little bit before Resident Evil 1, I would say that he's still a poet because I read some notes on Chris. And apparently, he's like a very reckless guy who doesn't do as he's told, but somehow it still works out for him anyway because he's like smart and gets himself out of these situations. Like, no matter how bad a situation gets, he manages to get out of it because he's smart and he's strong, you know, yada yada. He's very quick on his feet. But I like to interpret Chris as a poet in Resident Evil 1 because he's reckless, but I feel like a very reckless and youthful character like Chris at the time must envy soldiers who have more responsibility. In pre-Resident Evil 1, I like to headcanon as Chris as someone who wants more responsibility, more expectations, but people don't really do that for him because he's an orphan and he's reckless and people already have these opinions about him. But I feel like some part of him, he really wants to impress Wesker, who is his captain, and he really wants to impress Jill, who is probably an already established star officer. So I also want to headcanon that Jill is a soldier, by the way. So, I feel like this goes further into my headcanon that Chris like looks up to Jill, who is a soldier, who also Chris also looks up to Chris also looks up to Wesker, who was a king at the time. You know, there's all these archetypes. Chris wants to be a captain of a Alpha team or Bravo team. He wants more responsibilities, and then in Resident Evil 1, he finally understands what it means to be a STARS officer. He loses teammates after teammates, and eventually that hardens him into... He learns really hard lessons, and that turns him into a soldier, which we see in Resident Evil 5 and 6, right? So he struggles with the role of soldier. He has certain responsibilities, and he struggles with it, kind of, because he's still... in a way, Resident Evil 1 Chris. He's still hot-headed, he's still reckless, but over time, in Resident Evil 5 and 6, he learns that, you know, he's not a solo player anymore. He's queued up with a bunch of other team players as well. So he needs to learn how to be a soldier, like a team player. There's also the whole thing where a soldier doesn't know anything but anger, and I feel like that also ties in with Chris knowing nothing but anger and resentment and grief from his time in Resident Evil 1. There's that. And then eventually, sometime in Resident Evil 6 and sometime in Resident Evil 8, he becomes a king. So we see him fully progress from a poet to a soldier and then finally to a king, which is kind of explored in Resident Evil 6. In Resident Evil 6, he becomes a captain, which isn't necessarily a king, but he does have authority over his alpha team. But he doesn't really play the role of a king very well until the very end, when Chris is ready to hand over the crown to Pierce, but Pierce is like, no, you need to press forward. And also, a king doesn't really give up the crown to anybody. I'm having a really hard time explaining this. That's because I'm thinking like 5,000 things at once, but I hope this makes sense. Like, once Chris earns the title of the king, he's ready to give up the crown because he understands the weight of it, and so he tries to pass the torch to Pierce. But the thing is, the role of the king is that, you know, if you don't want to be like a leader, then you're kind of fit to be a leader in a way, because, you know, there's the understanding the weight of it, there's a lot of responsibility. So Chris gets to that point, but he's not unable to like pass it down to anybody. So he has to bear the weight of it all. And in Resident Evil 6, at the end of his campaign, he understands and accepts that role and he presses forward, which was really cool. But Resident Evil 8 happens and I have some complaints about it. But anyway, I just wanted to point out how cool his journey was and how it fits the whole like poet and soldier and king archetype. But I'll get back to the whole king conversation because we're not really done with that yet. Because we get to explore that in a bit here, but I'll talk about it later. I thought that was pretty cool. He becomes a poet, then he becomes a soldier, then he becomes a king. That was a really well done story. Again, Chris's campaign is a very well written story. I don't think it stayed true to his character though. And I feel like those two opinions can still correlate. What was I talking about? Oh, right. So that's Chris's campaign. Oh, you know, I really enjoyed Pierce though. He was such a good character. I miss you, Pierce. Anyway, next is Jake and Sherry's story. I thought it was cool that they brought back Sherry, but I felt like it was kind of unnecessary. If there was anybody that they should have brought back, maybe it would have been Jill and Claire, who would have fit Resident Evil 6 a little bit better. Like, I don't know, maybe Claris's TerraSave organization could have been doing something in China, and so that's how she meets up with the rest of the crew. I feel like that could have worked, but it was still good to see Sherry, I think. I do have a lot of complaints about Jake and Sherry's bond with each other. Instead of having like a bodyguard relationship, I feel like they should have mirrored their parents' relationship and should have been rivals or something. Maybe Sherry and Jake could have worked together for... Their relationship was already established pre-Resident Evil 6, and they were working together, and they sort of have some sort of rivalry together, but it's much more healthier than Birkin and Wesker's rivalry. And it could have shown their bond strengthening over time. I felt like that would have been cooler to see than whatever tension that the both of them had in the actual game. I just feel like it would have mirrored Birkin and Wesker's story much better. I thought Jake was a well-written character. I didn't really understand the whole like angry at dad thing. I know people explain it to me in chat, and I do understand why he would act that way, but I still feel very detached to it. I just feel like if someone didn't have a dad in their life, you know, why would you be upset about it? Like, it's like being mad or being sad about something you never really had in your life, right? How can you be mad at something if you never had it in the first place? But again, I know that everyone's is like emotional response is different. Not everyone is the same, and I guess Jake's anger is just personal to him, I suppose. But in my opinion, I felt like it was a bit forced. Because I don't know, Jake seems like a very nonchalant guy. Like, yeah, he is very erratic and very reactive, but he tries so hard to be nonchalant. I feel like he would try to make an effort to be nonchalant about his evil dad too. I don't know. I thought his melee was pretty fun. I really enjoyed wrestling the one giant at the end of the game. That was really, really fun. The whole ending of Jake and Sherry was really fun. What else? I don't really have much to say about Jake and Sherry, now that I think about it. I really enjoyed Sherry's character. I just think that the romantic part was out of place, maybe. But their partnership with each other, I thought that was really cool. I keep finding myself comparing it to comparing those two's relationship with Rebecca and Billy as well. But if I were to pick between the two, I think I would prefer Billy and Rebecca's relationship. I'm sorry, I feel like they have more chemistry than Jake and Sherry. Again, but I still find them cute. What else? Yeah, I feel like the writers really centered Jake and Sherry when writing Resident Evil 6. So for Resident Evil 6, I feel like that campaign came first. And then the Chris campaign came second. And then Leon and Ada's story was the last edition, I feel. Speaking of Ada's campaign, I thought it was a bit confusing, but I'm not sure if that's Capcom's fault or if it was just I was just confused. But Ada's campaign felt very confusing. Something about that one guy and then his wife, and then his wife was already dead or something. Carla! This one guy and his wife Carla. Something happened and Carla got plastic surgery where she was Ada? Question mark. But Ada with evil powers. I'm not sure why she made herself look like Ada. Because from my understanding, I think Ada is just like a regular person, right? Who is just a mercenary. And then evil Carla lashed out on everyone and went rogue and did her own thing. Is how I'm understanding the campaign. And then the real Ada found out and she was like, oh, well, that's weird. And then at the very end she destroyed all of the experiments, and so nothing really changed in the... Yeah, nothing really changed or happened in Ada's campaign then. I really don't understand Ada's campaign. Because I keep thinking like, what was the point then? I did like the little fight that they did with the main evil guy, Leon and Ada, where Leon was holding on to Ada and was like, Ada, come back to me, Ada. And then Ada waited for a couple seconds and was like, I'm actually fine, I just wanted to hear you beg for a bit. And Leon's like, ah, oh, woman, or something like that. Forgot that happened. I guess that was a little fun, but I just don't know how I feel about it. I'm mostly confused, but it was okay. It was cool to at least see Ada in that outfit. That's like one of my favorite Ada models. The red shirt and black pants. We gotta put Ada in more pants. She just looks so good in them. Like more high-rise pants, please. There was that. What else? Did I already mention the thing with Helena? And how I appreciated that she... Even though she was kind of forced to be a bad guy, she still took responsibility for it and didn't shift the blame to whomstever. I really like that. That took a lot of balls to do. So I do really like Helena for it. Oh man, how do I feel about Resident Evil 6? Eight out of 10. I feel like Resident Evil 6 had a lot of flaws, but the gameplay was really fun. So I feel like Resident Evil 6 also has the same problems that I feel Resident Evil 5 has. The melee was really fun, but the story just made no sense. So I think I will put it next to Resident Evil 5. An 8. It's an 8 out of 10. But I feel like it could be a little lower. Oh, you know what? The thing about Sherry and Jake though, like, it makes me think, because they were supposed to foil their parents' relationship, right? Sorry, not their parents. Yeah, their parents' relationship with each other. I wonder how William Birkin and Wesker would feel about Sherry and Wesker teaming up like that. Sorry, Sherry and Jake teaming up like that. I feel like both of them will be rolling in their graves like, oh my god, what are you doing? You guys should be enemies. He betrayed me. And also your father is a fool. I feel like the both of them would be like, grrr, over their relationship. I wish I could have seen them react to it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That's how I feel about Resident Evil 6. I don't know how to really feel about it. There are some parts that I really enjoy, but there's some parts that I really dislike. What is next? Resident Evil 7! Where are you? Is this Resident Evil 7? I think so. I think that might be Evelyn. Guys, I thought Resident Evil 7 was bad. I'm sorry. I think it's a 0 out of 10. I'm sorry, chat. I know why they went with this direction. It's because all these previous games were about the heroes, right? So they wanted to do something different and first of all, they wanted to introduce a new protagonist, and 2, they wanted to do something new, and 3, well, actually no, not 3. The first one is it goes back to the first one. They wanted to make a story about a hero that's not actually a hero. The hero is actually just some regular guy. So the idea was pretty good, but I feel like the execution was not done well. Oh my god, you guys are gonna hate me for this. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, chat. Oh no, no, no. I know. Please don't hate me. I thought it was executed horribly because we have our protagonist, Ethan Winters. I get that he's supposed to be your self-insert, but I couldn't find myself. I felt very detached to Ethan because he just felt very confused and very apathetic to the whole situation, which might be fine because he's a self-insert and you're supposed to project your feelings, but I just couldn't because it felt like Ethan was purposely like apathetic about the whole situation. Like, yeah, he was worried about Mia, but then when he saw Mia, he was just kind of like, he didn't talk to her like a wife. He just talked to her like, you know, what the, like a coworker almost. So I not only that, but I also felt detached from Mia, and he just felt like a very weak character in terms of writing, and I feel like that also extends to Village as well. I feel like if Ethan had more of a personality, like stronger sense of justice, stronger desires, maybe if he cracked a couple like jokes, I don't know, maybe not the joke part, but if he did, maybe he would have been a more likable character that I could project myself into. But I felt like I couldn't really do that. Not only that, yeah, well, I felt like I couldn't really do that, so I didn't really like Ethan. As for how Mia was written as well, I didn't really enjoy it. I think this goes back to the whole like the team doesn't really know how to write women, because I also felt detached towards Mia. I'm a little confused because does she know that she's working for an umbrella adjacent corporation? I'm scratching my head. Did she know the high stakes of her job? Or did she think that it was just kind of a random job? That was a little weird. Yes, Mia knew completely who and what she was working with. I feel like it would have been more interesting if we saw her as a protagonist. No. No, actually, no, not that. I feel like maybe we should have just expanded or explored more on Mia's thoughts about it, because it just kind of gets brought up once. I feel like neither characters really talk about it. And in Resident Evil Village, she has a chance to talk about it, but she purposely distances herself from it and keeps shutting down Ethan whenever Ethan does ask about it, question mark. I don't know, I felt like it was very messy in a way. I'm gonna put Village back. So I feel like Mia's character was also very weak. Felt like Zoe's character was also weak. I just feel like all of the characters were just so weak. Except maybe Lucas. It's clear what Lucas wanted. He did it out of money. It's very clear what his character is. He's evil. But he's also a genius. I feel like out of all of the characters in the story, it really was Lucas that got his character. I think his character was the one that was most fleshed out. Because Evelyn was the main antagonist. But we don't really get to know about her either. Just that she was an experiment and she acts like a creepy kid horror trope. I think one thing I do want to praise the game for is their ability to write twists and surprises very well. But I think just because a professional game developer or a professional game writer is able to invoke emotions out of people or is able to write good shock or surprises doesn't equal quality writing, because that's just what they were trained and studied for. But again, it doesn't equal quality writing. For example, I remember I was watching Kiriko's animatic, Kiriko from Overwatch, right? And the whole time I was so turned off by it. But at the end I did cry because it was very emotional and the writers knew how to tug on your strings. But just because I cried, it did not mean that it was a good animatic. In fact, I thought it was very horrible because oh my gosh, I'm gonna go on another rant. But I thought it wasn't a very good animatic because Kiriko is modeled after the fox spirit, right? And spirits are very non-tangible and sometimes it feels bigger than us, right? It's like a phenomenal being, so we don't really know, we can't really tie it down to anything. So I feel like maybe they should have, because of how big and unexplainable this phenomenon is, I feel like maybe they should have attached that mysteriousness to Kiriko. But Kiriko is a very personable and likable character, which is fine, but for her powers, it felt very underwhelming. Not only that, but the whole animatic takes place in Kiriko's apartment and hallway. Even though she's supposed to be like a hero and is supposed to save whatever country she's in. even though she's supposed to save whatever country she's in and look after the children and all the people who believe in the fox spirit, her battle and her story and her character is only explored in Kiriko's hallway, like Kiriko's apartment hallway. So it felt very small, even though her ambitions and her story and her powers are way bigger than that hallway. That it only took place in that. So I thought that was a very bad writing, which is how I feel about Resident Evil 7 as well. Like yes, it did surprise me, and it did catch me off guard, and it did scare me a lot, but I don't think that equals good writing. I think it's the writers just, you know, they just studied well and they're just able to make a good horror game, but I don't think it was a good horror game. What else? Oh my god. Oh god. Oh, this is so bad. Okay. Resident Evil 7. We are introduced to Blue Umbrella. Oh my god. Oh, that was so cringe. I'm so sorry, chat. When I read about it, I had some time to think on it, and I don't think I like it. I was confused at first, but the more I think about it, I think the more I hated the idea. Excuse me. I thought the Blue Umbrella thing was really embarrassing. This goes into the whole like rant about Chris being a king. By the way, I thought that after the events of Resident Evil 6, it was a little weird to see him as a soldier again. I know that Chris is the soldier archetype no matter what, but after the events of RE6, I kind of expect him to be a higher up now. So maybe like I don't know what the role is called, but someone who oversees all of the missions and all of the operations and all of the missions. Just someone who's high in charge. Someone like Wesker. Commander? Yeah. I expected him to be a commander at this point, or in Resident. Excuse me. Excuse me. Yeah, I expected him to be like a commander at this point, because he's already proved his role as a soldier many times here. And at Resident Evil 6, he's conquered the title of soldier, and now he's become a king. He has to bear all the responsibilities, and he's kind of become this untouchable figure. Like, people can no longer relate to him because of all the things that he's gone through. So it only makes sense for him to be a king, but they kind of still keep him in a little box as a soldier, and it's kind of unsettling to see. I remember at some point in Resident Evil 7, I was like saying like, what? Chris? Like, he really is is he really kind of like a... Is he really an impressive person? Because I don't think... Actually, forget it. It's just too much to get into, and I don't want to like expand too much on it. But basically, I just thought that after all the stuff that he went through, he would have been fitting as a commander. I feel like if he was a commander at this point, of BSAA or Blue Umbrella or whatever. I feel like if he got the letter that Umbrella was reflecting on their problems and they decided to become Blue Umbrella, it would have been cool to see Chris like look at the letter and be like, what the fuck? No, Umbrella's always the bad guy though. Well, I'll need to ponder on this for a little bit. Like, it would have been really cool to see him like have conflicting feelings about it. Instead, what happens is that we just find out all about it in a briefing document, and he kind of just has a line or two about Blue Umbrella, and it's just kind of tossed aside. Like, it just feels very half-assed. I don't think they should have made Blue Umbrella. I feel like they should have just kept Umbrella as the bad guy. And introduced like new enemies using Umbrella's name, or I don't know, just made a new evil protagonist that somehow is connected to Umbrella. I'm not really sure, but I didn't like the whole Blue Umbrella thing, and I didn't like that they kept Chris as a soldier. No. Same thing with Village too, but I'll get into that in a bit. So yeah, I will keep Resident Evil 7 at the bottom. Resident Evil 6 was the reason of why the franchise almost died. That's why we didn't get a RE game for a while until RE7, sadly. What? Oh yeah, I did remember people in chat saying that Resident Evil 6 almost killed the franchise. The thing is, like, I don't think it was that bad. Like, there were a lot of flaws, but I don't think it was a bad game. Like, the melee was really, really fun though. I can still... The parts about RE6 that I can look back fondly on is definitely the melee. So, I don't think it was a bad game overall. Plus, Chris's story was really cool too. Showing that even Chris isn't immune to being worn down, maybe? Maybe. I'm just trying to think how differently we could have portrayed that. Honestly, if 2 of the campaigns were cut out, 6 would be better. Maybe. And if they maybe expanded more on the last 2 campaigns, maybe could have fixed the story issue. Seven was very bad in character and plot, especially the plot. Too many holes. 8 didn't improve much. Yeah, I agree. I think it is a very good horror game. Like, it did make me scream and jump. But just because a horror game can make you jump doesn't mean that it's a good quality story. I don't think it's a good quality game. Yeah, I really didn't enjoy Mia and Evelyn's character. And I really don't feel connected to Ethan at all. But, you know, if you don't really care about... And I don't mean this in a demeaning way, but if... There are some people who don't really care about the story or... or about the things that I've mentioned. And this could be a game for people people like them. And I don't mean that in a demeaning way. Like, you can't just enjoy a game for what it is as well. And what I'm trying to say is that there's a game for every audience out there, and this is no different. Like, it can still be a good game, just I didn't feel like it was a very good game for me. I just wanted to put a disclaimer on that. Excuse me. I'm not the biggest fan of 7 either. It felt like they were trying to mix RE with shades of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it was weird. To me, I remember mentioning this like a couple times on my playthrough, but Resident Evil 7 felt like talking about the horrors of marriage, which the analogy kind of fits because Ethan is an outsider who he's married to Mia, and Mia has a family. I forget what the family is called, but basically Ethan is kind of like an outsider, and it talks about the horrors of marriage and trying to fit in a family that you don't really get along well with. I can kind of see it being an analogy to that. So again, there are cool points of Resident Evil 7. I just think that maybe it didn't fit. I don't think it was my kind of game. Mia was a bad character that got a slap on the wrist for her part in what went down in Life's Lost. It's true. I was so certain that Ethan was probably gonna divorce, but I'm glad that their marriage was still strong and they still managed to work it out. But it was a little weird that Mia was kind of like, you know, oh, you're good, Mia, like, just don't worry about it. You're not the bad guy, it was actually these guys. Meanwhile, Helena is like, oh, I was indirectly involved in the killing of the president and the zombie apocalypse, so just turn me in. The difference between the two characters is insane. New company raincoat. I think at some point in Resident Evil 1, there were a couple products called Parasol. Imagine we have a new company. It's called Parasol Co. That's a very interesting take on Resident Evil 7. You got some good points there. Again, I think it's a good game, just maybe not for me. Moves on to Resident Evil 8. This was technically my first Resident Evil. And at the time, I really enjoyed the game, although I didn't really finish it. This was one of the first games that I played on this channel. But unfortunately, I didn't have a good PC at the time, so the stream was really choppy, and so I couldn't stream it for a long period of time. So I had to drop this after a while, and then my official the official game that I finished was Resident Evil 4 Remake. I was very pleasantly surprised to hear that someone in chat said that Village takes a lot after 4. So I was really excited to play it. Excuse me. My overall thoughts on Resident Evil 8. Well, first of all, the story for Resident Evil Village was Ethan comes back as a protagonist, and this time excuse me. This takes place, what, like a couple years after 7, and Ethan starts a family, has a baby named Rosemary, and he's raising it with Mia in a random part of the world. Oh my god. Excuse me. In a random part of the world that Chris personally handpicked. But then, literally, their neighbors is the village, and is the castle, and is the freaking steampunk farm. Hot. Oh my god, Chris. How is that possible? Because, right, in the opening scene, you know, Chris barges in and is like, I'm shooting your wife, and also I'm taking your baby, and you're also coming with me. And then they get sent into, they're like in a van, and then they're driving, but I'm not sure how long they drive for, but they're suddenly, you know, on the floor. So they must have not gone that far. That means, so Ethan gets up and he goes down this little forest, and on the other side of the woods is the village, right? That means that they were literally, they're neighbors with Lady Demetresque and the steampunk dad and all those other people too. Chris, how could you? How? Literally how? I don't know. I'm so confused. I am so confused. Oh man, hang on. Right. So, Ethan gets his daughter taken away, and so cue Resident Evil 4 story where dad looks for his princess, right? I would say that visually it was a very beautiful game. Visually it's very beautiful. I'm still thinking about the steampunk guys' battle. That was really well done. And also the animation scene where it talks about this little girl and she eats and takes gifts from these 4 other creatures. I thought that was really, really well done. But the story was so bad, chat. I'm so sorry. I think village is all the way over here. It's a 0 out of 10. I'm sorry, chat. Go ahead, throw tomatoes at me. I'll accept them. But I'm doubling down on this. I think 7 and 8 were really horrible. But visually, I feel like this is a little bit higher because visually it was really cool. But story-wise, I would say it's in the bottom. Here's why. So first, it's kind of weird how Ethan's new home is in a where are we? Europe or something? I forget where we were. But his new home is the neighbors of the antagonist. Not really that, but Mia says excuse me, oh my god. Oh my god, excuse me. What are we talking about? Oh right. Mia says PTSD and Ethan says PTSD is explored very shallowly, especially in the beginning of the story. But oh my gosh, my face tracker is gonna die. The game tries to build up to their PTSD and how they're coping with it, especially in the beginning, but then at some point after Mia's doll scene, it gets dropped completely, and instead they start focusing on Ethan's power and literally anything else. Like, it just gets dropped completely, which is so unfortunate because I feel like if there was any time to explore it, it would be now. Horror genres are perfect to explore characters and just horror genres are perfect to explore people's darkest fears and emotions and trauma, and like we have so many chances to do that in Resident Evil 7 and 8, and it just gets completely thrown out the window. Like the whole Mia doll scene would have been perfect. It would have been so perfect to explore Mia's story. How we could have tied in the whole incident with Resident Evil 7 like right there too. It's Mia's doll, so we could talk about how Mia felt like she had no autonomy over her own body because her body had been taken over by mold. And not only that, because it's an analogy over marriage, it could have been that Mia maybe felt like she was controlled by her family, which, you know, that's not her real family, but it's like all symbolism, right? It could have felt that she had no like power or autonomy over her own body or her own self. We couldn't even explore that. The whole Mia doll scene was just there for shock value. It was just to creep you out. It would have been so good, Capcom. It would have been so good. Oh man. Right, we're still talking about Village? We are. We could have done that, but it was completely thrown out the window. We could have maybe explored Ethan's trauma too in that same map, because that part of the map was psychedelics, right? So everyone was tweaking out, which means that it would have been even more perfect. He could have been hallucinating oh well, he kind of did. He hallucinated the baby question mark. We don't know if the baby was real or not. It could have explored his fear over marriage and raising a child, because that's what the analogy for Village is about. The horrors of raising a child and a family. We could have explored more on that. Could have explored over how he doesn't have autonomy over his body too, because he's controlled by mold. Which also, I have another complaint about it. Like, why is it that it's Ethan? Excuse me. Why is it only Ethan that gets to have these mold powers? The first person that gets killed and gets taken over by mold and somehow looks like she's able to gain control of it was Mia. Well, she doesn't control it just as well as Ethan did, but she was the first person to fall victim to it. And she had more relevance to the plot than Ethan did. Ethan is just an extension of Mia. Mia was the one who was working for that little umbrella-esque corporation. She's the one that took in Evelyn. She's the one that had authority over Evelyn too. So we could have explored how her trying to control this bowel experiment, the struggle would have been really interesting to see. Yeah, like literally Mia had the same powers as Ethan. They were both infected by mold. So why is Ethan the only why is Ethan the superpower, the Superman guy? I don't really understand that. But anyway, to continue, there was that whole thing. I felt like Lady Demetress's story was a little short. I felt like the whole puzzle scene was just perfect, but I feel like we parted with her too soon for all the hype that was surrounding her. I really thought that she would have been the last or the third last antagonist, but she was the very first one and she kind of got brushed off really soon, so that I'm a little sad about that. I really I really liked the doll scene, but again it felt too short. The lake scene was pretty cool. Actually the lake scene was actually not that bad. Oh wow. Yeah, I really enjoyed the lake scene with the fish. I forgot what his name was. Mora? Surprisingly, I really enjoyed his character. And the steampunk guy. His map was a little convoluted, but it was fun. The last battle with him was really nice. Now here's my complaint about Chris Redfield in Village. Again, the whole poet and soldier thing. He should have been a king at this point. Why is he out there being a captain of the Hound Wolf squad? He should be like, he should be in a room somewhere far away from this place. I'm getting a vision, guys. You know what would have been cooler maybe? If if somehow Rose and Ethan did manage to get picked up by Chris's team before any of this happened. It would have been cool to see those two talking with Chris, who is in like a strange military facility with a bunch of like thousands of other people. It would have been cool to depict Chris as this commander in Village, because not only does it fit the laboratory, like military fortress map that all the other games also do, it would have been painting Chris as this untouchable like commander who's earned his role in the franchise. I feel like maybe that would have been cool. And again, instead of depicting him as a soldier. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. Chris. Sorry, I'm just keeping a note to myself. Yeah, I thought maybe that would have been a lot more cooler than seeing him a soldier again, because keeping him as a soldier for 4 games straight, I feel like we're just putting him in a bubble now. So I'm praying that maybe the next time we see Chris, it would be more true to his character. What else am I forgetting? I don't like how Chris and Mia were talking in that one scene either, because you could tell that Mia was written very annoying, like a very annoying and misunderstood character, and also a very confused character, which I think is Capcom's fault. Why was she talking to Chris like that when she was being freed from jail? Also, why was she in jail? Why didn't they just kill her off? And why was Chris like pushing her away and is like, you know, you're just gonna get in the way, so stay out of our way. Like, why are you talking to a civilian like that? That's your job to take care of her. She doesn't know how to take care of herself. We're literally in an underground prison. All complaints aside though, visually it was a really cool and pretty. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, that's my final thoughts. I'm not sure what the ending scene was all about. I didn't really like Ethan sacrificing himself. It was a good way to end his story, but now that I'm looking back on it, it was very heroic, but it just felt like lackluster. Like something was missing from the ending. So unfortunately, even though it was technically my first Resident Evil game, I'm gonna have to put it at a 0 out of 10. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna be so bad right now, but I'm even gonna say that I didn't really particularly care for Rose as well. Like, I meant Rose when she's all grown up, like in the DLC. I got to see a couple pictures and clips of her, but not the gameplay, sorry. So I don't really know what's in the DLC, but I don't really have attachment towards Rosemary. Oh no, wait! In the end of Village, we actually do get to see her as an adult, and she was paying respects to her dad. Right. I forgot that happened. I didn't really care for her character either. Like, she's not written as a likable character. She just seems like a very chaotic character, like someone who's very unreliable, you know? Chaotic and unreliable isn't the word I'm looking for. I'm trying to describe her as disturbed? No. I know the Japanese word for it, but I don't know what the English word for it is. It's like Huan. Unstable. Disorderly. Unreliable. Chaotic. I'm really not sure what the word is, but I'm a little cautious of Rose. And I didn't like how they treated her too. Like they were like, "Oh, I'm gonna shoot her if she's gonna act out." Like, whoa. I know that she's a bow, but she's also human, guys. Like, I am telling you, I know I mentioned this like 5 different times, but I'm telling you, Capcom does not know how to write women, because with any other with Leon and Chris and Wesker and all the other characters, they do have autonomy. Like, yeah, sure, bad things happen to them, but they still overcome it and still have some sort of like dignity and power. But all these women, like, literally, they're either written annoying or they're written very flat. Or yeah, I guess it's just those two. They're either really annoying or they're very flat in character. So I'm hoping that maybe in Resident Evil 9 I'm hoping that in Resident Evil 9 they change that up, and I'm hoping to get surprised by the writing team, but unfortunately I'm keeping my expectations really low because I hear that it's the same team from 7 and 8, I think. But I think some of you guys were saying that I feel like some of you guys were saying that the team also invited some woman to speak on Leon's design. I'm hoping maybe they brought like some woman to flesh out certain characters in Resident Evil 9 as well. Because the main protagonist for Resident Evil 9 is Grace, and she's investigating the Oh, excuse me. So, Grace Ashcroft is a journalist who is investigating the death of her mother and also the entirety the entirety of the Raccoon City incident. I have a lot of I have a lot of thoughts on the story premise as well. I was a little disappointed to find out that Grace was kind of doing it because of her missing mother. I thought it was really admirable that she was a journalist because it would have been fitting for excuse me. I thought it was really cool that she was a journalist because it also goes back to the themes that I really enjoy about Resident Evil, which is again, people who have power that exploit a group of people that don't have much power, right? So, journalists are always getting taken advantage of as well. And so I thought it was really cool that Grace, who is a journalist, is also exploring. I thought it was really cool that Grace was gonna be a protagonist. But, judging from 7 and 8, I'm a little worried about how the story is gonna go. But I will still be looking forward to it. I just wish that they left out the part that her mom was involved in. Her mom was missing, because low-key, like, you can make characters. Low-key, you can make characters, like humanitarian characters, without involving their family members or their loved ones as a part of the cause. Does that make sense? It would have been really cool to see her do it as a act of justice instead of like, oh well, I'm doing it because I'm kind of involved. Because real heroes don't need a reason or an excuse to be a hero. They just do it because they want to right a wrong. So it would have been really cool to see someone like Grace do that. But alas, Grace isn't a journalist, she's an FBI profiler. Oh really? Okay, never mind then. You know, at some point though, if Resident Evil 9 is gonna be the story that closes off Raccoon City entirely, I hope that Resident Evil 10 is gonna be it's gonna be a story about a brand new protagonist. Someone that's not Chris or Jill or Leon, but I hope it's a completely different character too. Me personally, I would love to see like a... Do you know Studio Trigger? I feel like it would have been really cool if we can see... If we see a protagonist that look like they came straight out of a Trigger anime. Someone who's like very spunky and hot-headed but very righteous. I would hope to see a protagonist like that. But yeah, those are my overall thoughts on Resident Evil, at least the games that I have played. Resident Evil 0 is a 10 out of 10. Adore this. I adore it. It does have its flaws, but I adore it. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. Resident Evil 1. Absolute 100 out of 10. Great game. Actually, I might even put Resident Evil 0 an 8 out of 10. Resident Evil 4 Remake, 100 out of 10. Amazing freaking game. Would recommend. I forced my sister to play Resident Evil 4 because I really wanted to watch her play and I wanted to hear her commentary on it, but she doesn't do well with horror. But I forced her anyway. And guess what? She is having so much fun with it. We are at the castle part now. We're at the inky fountain area. So I'm having a lot of fun watching her play. I'm gonna make all of my friends play this too, and I wanna watch. Resident Evil 2, really good game, but you have to finish both campaigns for the full story. I love Leon here, I love Claire here. I also really like Sherry's story. 8 out of 10. Chris and Sheva, Resident Evil 5, 8 out of 10. A really good game to play with your friend. The story is a little campy and crazy, but it's also really fun. I kind of want to put this at 10 out of 10. I will keep it right here. Resident Evil 6, it has a lot of flaws, but it also makes up for its flaws through melee and Chris's campaign. Still a pretty good game, I would say. Resident Evil 3, I have to play the OG. Maybe if I play the OG, this score will change, but my experience with the remake, 5 out of 10. Very lacking, especially in Joseph's character, Joseph's story. We'll see if they expand more on it in the OG. Oh no. And then finally, Resident Evil 7 and 8. I'm sorry to say, chat, I'm keeping this down all the way here. I do wonder why... I know that it's normal, but I wonder why they swapped out the writers. If only we had their guidance. But yeah. Even though I have complaints and I felt like some parts of these games were flawed, and even if these games are a 0 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10, the whole experience, the Resident Evil Marathon, was still a very joyful experience for me. And I'm glad I got to witness it. And because, like I mentioned yesterday, because I got to experience Resident Evil, I have something else to talk about and joke about with my community. And not only that, but I got to meet a lot of new people as well because of our shared interest over Resident Evil. So again, even if there was a lot that I disliked about certain games, I still cherish the franchise a lot because it connected me to a bunch of new people and communities, and it will probably help me connect with more communities and people in the future. So I love you, Resident Evil heart. Resident Evil heart. Sounds like you need Dante and Devil May Cry. He has pure confidence and sass. And I'm pretty sure DMC started out as a RE game anyway before they changed it. Yeah, when I was reading up on Resident Evil 4, the production of the remake, apparently they were just having so much fun with writing this that they were like, oh my gosh, we're kind of derailing. How about we take certain ideas from Resident Evil 4 and we put it to Devil May Cry, and then some parts of the team that was in charge of Resident Evil 4 were sent to also work more on the work more on Devil May Cry too. Which, by the way, I am thinking about starting very soon. Cause I feel like if I just finished a Resident Evil marathon, I feel like I need to play its sister game, Devil May Cry. For people that play Devil May Cry, I just have one question. What character do you think I would absolutely love? I really like passionate characters like I really like passionate characters like Chris, but I also really like bulky, big characters like Chris. But I also really like I also really like humanitarian characters like Claire as well. Yeah, you think I would like Lady? Let me see. Oh! Dude, she's so cute! Maybe. I'll keep it in mind then. I'm glad I was here for the ride. Yeah, I'm glad that... I'm so happy that you guys decided to join me on my Resident Evil adventure. Although it's not really over yet, because while I did play the main games, and a part of me does want to replay them, I still have other games I have to play. For example, Code Veronica. I have to play Code Veronica. The Revelations games. Oh, where's the other Revelation? Oh, Revelations. Gotta play these games too. Actually, these 3 games have been recommended a lot. And then obviously I have Resident Evil 4 OG. Not only that, but Resident Evil 6, I have to play with a real person. With real people. Not only that, chat. It keeps going. Not only that, but Resident Evil 2. On my last charity stream, we never got to finish the speedrun of this. So I have to complete a knife-only hardcore mode for Resident Evil 2. What? Why stop there? Oh my gosh, I sound so greedy. Why stop there? Because then we get to do a hardcore knife-only run in Resident Evil 3 too. Why stop there? And why stop there when we could do it for all the games? Maybe I'll even get so good at these games I could even do a no damage run too. In the future. That would be really fun, I think. So yeah, even though our marathon is over, this is not the last time you'll see a Resident Evil game on my channel. And wherever we are gonna go in this channel, I hope that you guys will accompany me to the next adventure as well, which will probably be Devil May Cry, or I really want to play Red Dead Redemption. I got gifted the second game way back, long time ago, and I've been holding it off because before I play the game, I really, really, really want a cowboy alternate outfit. So it's been like, it's been on queue for the longest, but just letting you guys know that I'm gonna play Red Dead Redemption. This was a great tier list, Lulu. You have some interesting ways of breaking down your takes. I hope Bill wasn't too crazy. Again, so another thing I want to put a disclaimer is that I'm a very flexible person too. So these all might change over time. All of that might change over time. Maybe I'll think that Resident Evil 1 was asshole. was a complete like booty cheeks. Or maybe later on I'll think that Village was an amazing game, so maybe it'll go back up here. So if these change, I will be sure to let you guys know. Oh, I'm curious. What about you guys? So I know I talked about my takes for the past couple hours. What would you guys say is your favorite Resident Evil game? And what is your least favorite? Just do yourself a favor and skip Devil May Cry 2. It's pretty bad. Like, universally agreed upon as bad. What? Was Devil May Cry 2nd the one that I hear lots about? I thought that was the good one. Which one would you say is the best one then? Because now I want to just play the best one. Oh, right! And I was gonna say... I forgot that... I promised. I forgot that I promised I was gonna play Silent Hill games. I really want to play Silent Hill too. Oh. Hi, Mini Meow Meow. Hello. Can't wait for you to play Resident Evil 17. I'm gonna be like 60 years old. 50, 60 years old. Oh man, was that a spoiler for the 5th? Nah. Nah. It is a sneak peek for future alternate outfits though, but not the spoiler for the upcoming one. Your channel, your choice. If you will want to play Red Dead, then go ahead and make that next thing to tackle. I will! I'm looking forward to it. I hear that it's a really, really fun game. Favorite is original RE3. Excuse me. Least liked is 7. Oh! I have to play the OG then. I want to know how Nemesis feels like in Resident Evil 3 OG. If I'm gonna be honest, my favorite one was Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 7, and my least favorite was the Resident Evil 3 remake. Yeah, I feel like maybe we can agree on the Resident Evil 3 then. At first, I really didn't want to admit that it was a bad game, because it was really fun. Especially when I was punching all those hunters as Carlos. I had so much fun during that part. But retrospect, it was a bit lacking, huh? I still have a big soft spot for RE1. It had such a good atmosphere. I agree! I agree! It's a good atmosphere, good introduction to the rest of RE. And the game design was really fun too. I loved harassing the zombies. It was so much fun. While we're at it, should we do a tier list for The Resident Evil characters? Okay, if we're gonna do that, I will be right back first. I need to get more water. Hello. I got more water. Holy crap! This tier list has it all! Oh, by the way, who is... There is one character that gets paired up with Claire a lot. It's like this little... It's like this guy. And it's not in the main games. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Maybe it's in Revelations. For S tier. Oh! Ranking of the characters. S tier. Resident Evil 1, Wesker. Resident Evil 5, Wesker. Resident Evil 5, Chris. Wait, is this yours? Or is this for me? Ugh, Steve. Wait, is that good ugh or bad ugh? Yours, of course. Dang, how'd you know? Steve is a F tier character for me by a country mile. What? Okay, the first time I heard of Steve, it was because someone was glazing him. Someone was like, "Oh man, I wish they brought back Steve. I love Steve. I thought they were so cute together." Oh no, I thought they were a good pairing, Steve and Claire. Very bad ugh. Oh my gosh, I'm so sad to hear that. Well, let me... Whoa. Let me play Veronica and I will see what's going on here. Here it is. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, okay. So, we did our thing here. We ranked all the games. I'm sorry for being so brutally honest. But now that we got the games out of the way, it's time for the exciting part. Dun-dun! Ranking all of the Resident Evil characters. But I kind of have to do it fast because I need to go pick up my sister. And then I have to make dinner. Which, by the way, we're having spaghetti squash. Spaghetti. It's my first time making it. Billy is here. This is a lot of tears. Holy crap. Can I delete one of them? Can I delete all of them? There's a lot. There's a lot here. A, B, C, D. Yeah, but it's my first time making spaghetti squash, so... But I've had it before, so... I'm excited to make it. I'm actually hoping they remake Code Veronica next and make him not awful. Interesting. What's so evil about Steve, I wonder? Totally not rigged character tier list. No. These are my personal... These are my personal opinions, so... Is there two Adas in this? Or is this Carla? Oh, this is Carla. This is Ada. Okay. Eee! Ah! 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 These are so cute. Okay, I'm so excited. All right. Personal character tier list, everybody. Let's start with this person. I don't know who they are. Who's this person? Wait, we know these people. Wait. This is literally the lady from the movie Resident Evil. The very first one we watched. What was the very first one we watched? What? Do you know who I'm talking about? It's these two are siblings or something. Yes. What is your name? I forget what your name. I forget what your name is, and I forget where you come from. But I know it's the first movie that we watched, and I remember making fun of it so much. Oh, it's the one with Claire in it too. Okay, well, let's rank. Unfortunately, lady, I think you were really cool. Oh, Vendetta! Vendetta? Really? Okay. In that case, from Resident Evil, the first movie you watched, Vendetta, I thought you were pretty cool. I don't think you're a B though. I'm gonna put you at C. You're a pretty cool character. Your brother. I didn't actually know anything about him. I know that he has a vendetta. I know he has a vendetta. But I don't really know much about you, bro. So, here you go. She was really cool though. Oh my gosh. And then... who were you again? You were the antagonist, yes. And then she arrests you. You were so lame, bro. I'm putting you in you were so... Holy shit, he was so lame! Oh my god! Yeah, that's the one that tricks Claire. He's like, oh, actually, Claire, could you stay in this floor so I can do some evil things in the background? And Claire's like, okay. And he gets beaten at the end. I feel like, okay, all of these characters could probably beat me up. The one character that I could probably beat up though is this guy. I know I can definitely take him on. I'm putting you in D, bro. You're so lame. I wanna bully you. And then there's Billy! 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 He's so handsome! You're going up here, buddy. He was a really cool character. He's very masculine. And... his PTSD makes him very... gives him a lot of depth. Oh shit! Who are you? I know your name. He's like the young version of an old guy who sings opera too. Lame! Super lame! I'm putting you... D is for lame, by the way. Oh, Marcus! Lame! Lame! Rebecca! Hang on. She is meh. Rebecca! Yeah! Rebecca! But I don't know much about her, so I'm putting her on A. I don't know who this guy is. I'm putting you in meh. Brad! You're a meh. You're a meh, bro. I never even saw you like at all in Resident Evil 1. Although I did get to see him in Resident Evil 3. And he was a pretty cool character. Thank you for your sacrifice. You're going to see. Oh no, my face tracker died. Is this Chris? My beloved? My king? Chris! Yippee! You are obviously going... Boom! S tier? You would even go to SS tier if I can even put you on SS tier. But I deleted it. You sir! Freaking S tier, bro. My favorite version of Chris? I can't pick between Chris Resident Evil 1, 5, 6, the Revelation one. The Village one is fine. I think he looks handsome. But my favorite one are the other ones. Oh, but the Village one is actually pretty... not that bad. Wish I could rank the different Chris's too. You're going up here though. I love his character. I love how passionate he is. I love how loyal he is. And I think he just looks so handsome. Jill! Yippee! Jill! Yippee Jill! You are an underwritten character. I wish I got to know more about you. I'm putting you an 8. Wesker! Wesker! He's my meow meow! Wesker cute! Wesker key! I remember when I first got to see him, I thought he was so lame. If it weren't for the fanfics, he would have stayed here. It's all thanks to the fanfics that he's over here. So everyone, or sorry, not everyone. So Wesker, if you have anyone to thank, it's the people in AO3. I think he's so stupid. Next one is Ada! I loved her in Resident Evil 2. Boom. I love Resident Evil 2 Ada. Resident Evil 4, I think it's okay. Resident Evil 4... Resident Evil 4 Ada was who I was introduced to. And I disliked her because Leon disliked her. I didn't know why. Well, disliked. It was just playful. But once Resident Evil 2 came around, I was like, bro, how can anyone not fall in love with you? I'm right where I want to be. Being gaslit by Ada. Just like how someone in chat said yesterday, Ada, if you want me to commit corporate espionage, you have my number. Annette? Lame. You're a horrible mother. But, actually, maybe you're in Met because you changed your ways. I actually don't know who you are, so I'm just gonna put you away. You're distracting me. Who's this? Claire? Think so. Claire! Claire! I wish she was an S tier, but the thing is, I don't really know much about her. Yeah, we get to see a lot of her. We get to see a lot of Claire in movies and a game or two. I still don't know much about her. So I would like for her to be an S. I'll just keep you an S because I really enjoyed her character in Resident Evil 2 Remake. Honk. I know there's a lot of hype around this guy, but I never got to properly meet him. So he's a meh. But maybe once I play his campaign, maybe it'll go all the way up here. You're in meth for now, but I'm sure you will be up to A. Chief Irons? Lame. Why are you making taxidermies of people, bro? How about you taxidermize yourself, nerd? Stupid villain. Wesker was right to hate you. Leon! A. I think he's okay. Maybe even B. I think Leon. I think Leon in Resident Evil 4 is probably S. And do you know what makes Leon Resident Evil 4 an S here? All because of that one stupid joke that he told to Ashley. The moment that made me fall for Ashley... Sorry, the moment that made me fall for Leon in the Resident Evil 4 game was when he was comforting Ashley. And he was like, just warn me next time before you stab me again. And that was out of nowhere. And it made me genuinely laugh. And it made me endear to him. So that's the moment that made me fall in love with him. This version of Leon, Resident Evil 6? Well, no. Maybe it'd be the Resident Evil 9 Leon. S. Resident Evil 2 Leon. Overall, putting him in B. I'm sorry, bro. Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 9 Leon is probably up here though. Marvin! You're a really cool character. I'm putting you in B. This is like the fondness. And this is love. And this is adore. Marvin was really cool. Got to head off bed now? No, got to head off now. Thanks for the stream, Miss Lulu. Have a good night and have a wonderful Christmas. Thank you so much for coming by. I appreciate it. Thanks for chatting about Resident Evil with me. And I hope you have a good night's sleep. Good night. Mr. X. S tier. He's so sexy. I love Mr. X. I'm putting you up here. I think he just looks so handsome. Sherry! Sherry! Up here. It feels weird to put them next to each other. I'm putting you right here. Oh, Mr. X. You will always be my favorite stalker. I hope next time they give you a turtleneck. Actually, I feel like you are wearing a turtleneck right now. Good choice. Handsome, dapper fellow. Sherry! I love her. I love how honest and diligent she is. You are up here, my favorite character. Oh, and your whiny dad. Look, they got the wrong picture. They got a really bad picture of fucking Bergen. He looks like a whiny baby. He looks like... This is like the face of a baby who just tripped, even though their parents told them not to run. You're lame. Right here, bro. The whole time, you're an absent father? Just because you were making evil viruses? How about you make some evil memories with your daughter instead, punk? Next is... Carlos! It was okay. I remember first, I freaked out when I first saw him. Because I was like, I've seen pictures. I've seen Pinterest art about you, bro. And I got to know about him. And he's kind of a cute character. I like that he reevaluated his stance on Umbrella. We love a flexible king. Should I put him higher? I think so. He's okay. I forget about him a lot. Ah, Mr. Guy. He's the one that forgot Jill's name. Meh. He's just okay. Nemesis! You're okay. Meh. I liked his fashion though. It was giving... Keep out. It was like his fashion sense was giving dress to impress theme. You know what I'm talking about? Holy shit, it's this guy. Me and the homies hate this guy. Lame. Boo. Boo. Stinky, ugly, reciting hairline baka. Boo. Get out of here. You're as lame as this guy. Actually, this guy... No one can get as lame as this guy, but you're pretty lame and you're pretty up there too. Boo! Oh, what was his name? It was like a T something. I know you! You were Carlos's partner. You're okay. Provided a lot of support. You're okay. Actually, I might even put him up here. I can't pick. I'll put you over here. What was your name? It was like a T. T something. Ashley! I thought Ashley was so cute in the remake. Apparently, people thought that she was annoying in the OG, but she seemed pretty cute in the little bits and pieces I saw of her. Ew. You're pretty good. I like you. Although, not as much as Sherry. Yeah, Sherry! Should Ada? I think I might bump you down. No, but Resident Evil 2! Ada! Ah! I can't pick! I'll keep you up here. But Ashley... I can't pick. I'm keeping you down here for now. But you're also around here somewhere. Who the hell is this guy? Oh! The priest from... Resident Evil 4. Meh. You're not lame though. But you're meh. Browser! Browser! Excuse me. Browser! I loved him in Resident Evil Resident Evil 4 remake. Never got to see him in OG though, but I would love to. I also want to play the Operation Javier. I forget what. Oh, the Dark Side Chronicles. Just to see him banter with Leon. Hello, welcome in, Kale. Mr. X had the best fashion sense of all the tyrants. It's true. And he had the pretty cool evolutions as well. And who the heck are you? Is he Luis? I think so. Luis! You're okay. I'm putting you here too. Oh, I loved his send-off though. His send-off was so good. The lighter. I freaked out. I freaked out at that part. But it was very, very good. I love you, Luis. Maybe you're actually up here. Ah, you're somewhere between here. I'll put you over here. By the way, Lulu, you can actually buy Krauser's knife. I want to. I want to. But, I don't have space. But I would love to. I think his knife design looks so sick. Daisuki! Daisuki! The merchant. What can I do you for? You're okay. Over here. You're okay. Oh, this is the cloaked figure. Eh. At least you're not lame. This guy in Resident Evil Remake. Lame! Freaking world's most lamest character. Actually, no. Not as lame as him. I keep forgetting about him. You're okay. Actually, he's more on the meh. Because at least his monster form was pretty cool. Ro didn't even have a monster form. I'll keep you here. Holy shit, I remember you. You're from Resident Evil 5. No. Yeah, 5. The most underwhelming character. Lame! Boo! I don't even know what his beef was. I tuned him out. I tuned him out at some point. Lame. I know this character. I forgot what his name was. It was J something. You are actually up here. I love this character. Sheva! You're up here too. Sheva! She was so charismatic. When I think about the word charisma, I think about someone like Sheva. She's so beautiful too. And the way that she's level-headed in any dangerous situations. I love it. I think it was pretty cool too. Who the fuck? Oh, Spencer! Eh. Wow. I can't believe it. I think the lamer version, the younger version of you is lamer. Carla! Eh. Helena! B. I actually don't know anything about Carla. I still get confused over her campaign. Helena was pretty goated. Like, actually. Except the part when she would delay telling you things. Aside from that, you're actually up here. You're kind of a baddie. It's freaking Jake, bro. Jake Mueller. How I feel about you, Jake? I think he's so lame, but I like him for that. So he's kind of up here, but I think he's so lame. He is lame, but he's endearing because of that. You know, though, people like people like Jake definitely bully people like me. He would definitely bully me, so maybe I should put him in lame. Cause he is lame, but I don't know where to put him. I like you a lot, so I think your conviction is very attractive. But you're kind of lame. When he's being ingenuine and kind of overcompensating, he's kind of lame. Or when he's being a brat. But when he's being genuine, he's so cute. Maybe I'll put you over here. But you're interchangeable. Hello! Welcome in, Egg! Welcome in, everyone! Thank you so much for joining me. I'm trying to hurry this up before I have to go pick up my sister. Hello! That thumbnail is all you need to know about the stream. The thumbnail happened because I was chatting with my community on the Discord server. And I think it was Nightwalker, where Nightwalker was like, I really want to see this, but Lulu saying zombies, and I was like, bet, I will actually do it. Rest in peace, Jake. He's only lame when he's not being himself, but when he's being genuine, he's so attractive. I love Buzzcut so much. And you guys know how much I love scars too. So Buzzcut and a freaking scar. Which one of you guys knew? Which one of you guys knew that as soon as I saw him, I would love him? Oh, but he's so lame. I don't know. I'm keeping you right here. Wait, Leon is B? Finally, someone has a different opinion. Actually, for Leon, I think Resident Evil 4 Remake Leon is up here. Resident Evil 9 Remake... Sorry, Resident Evil 9 Leon is up here. But all the other Leons is probably down here. I'm not a Leon girly, I'm a Chris girly. How about a happy medium at like B? Yeah, watch it, Jake, or else I might put you on B. Jake's actually a sweet guy, but puts on fuckboy act to play cool. Yeah, that's what I don't like. I think when he acts as someone else other than himself, I think it makes him so lame. But when he's being genuine, again, like when he's saying thank you to Sherry, I think he's so sweet. He's lame, but Lulu is being soon lame? What? What are you talking about? Well, you want me to put him up here? Okay, fine. Oh, since people in my chat want me to put him at S, I guess I'll put him at S. But, you know, I'm not putting you up there because I want to, okay? Any wrong move and I'll put you down here. You hear me, Jake? Ah, I guess it can't be helped. I'll put him up here. Yeah, I guess his fighting skills is pretty cool. Wait, RE4 merchant and B is crazy. That's my boy. Ah, it's true. It's true. He is up here too. That might change. Oh wait, Luis is up down here too. I don't know, chat. I don't know, chat. They're like kind of interchangeable. I wish there was a thing between A and B, like an AB or something. Pierce! 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 S! Ah! Oh, oh, I love you, Pierce. Mew, mew. I think our... What? Maybe. Again, Luis and Merchant I really do like. We will see. If they behave, I'll maybe bump them up. Pierce! He's so handsome. And he looks after Chris well. And he's so diligent. And he's so serious. And he's a sniper. And he's a good driver. I love you. Oh, here's this lame-o. Never mind, I'm keeping him down over here. Lame. Your stupid thumb ring. Lame. He thinks he's so tough and hard. Nuh-uh. Oh, this guy. He's one of the antagonists in Resident Evil 6. I think? Or he was from the movie. Whatever, he's lame. He's meh, actually. He's not lame. These guys are lame. This feels like Portrait of Shame. Oh my gosh, I have to hurry. And there's still more characters left. But I have to go soon. Ethan Winters? Teetering on lame. No, actually he's not lame because he actually does a lot of stuff. He's just okay. Evelyn? I think that's her name. I know what... He's okay. The father. He's Mr. Dad. He's okay. Dad's brother? I haven't played his game, but I'm sure he's hardcore. He's okay. Ethan feels very stale. Not terrible, but nothing striking either. Agreed. I mean, I get that he's supposed to be like a self-insert, but... Nah. Nah. Oh, Lucas! Ooh. But he was still a better written character. Ugh. Lame. Meh. He's over here. I think he's meh. No, he's lame. He's lame. The mom? Mrs. Mom? She was actually not that bad. Maybe up here. Yeah. You could have been a good written character. You could have been up here. But because of how you're written, you're in meh. But I promise, if you had been written better, you would have been an A. My apologies. Zoe! Meh. Oh, the sisters! Oh, they were actually not that bad, guys. They were actually really not that bad. Maybe even here. Listen, I'm a Scorpio rising. And Scorpio risings are all about gothic features like this. They're pretty gothic. I'm keeping you over here. Oh, the doll lady. You're very good. I really enjoyed your map. But I didn't know much about you, so you're meh. Oh! The Duke! You're going in A. I really enjoyed the Duke's character. Ah, shit. If I'm putting the Duke up there, the merchant has to go up there too. Okay, guys. You guys win. I'm reuniting the merchants. An A. I really enjoy this character. Or, actually, I really don't know. I'm gonna keep you here for now. Pending. Pending. Oh. Mr. Steampunk guy. Meh. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I see the appeal. I get it, I do. He's meh for me. Lady Demetress. Boom! Actually, she might be up here too. She's like my other favorite stalker in the RE franchise. I don't know. I really think she might be up here. I like the part where she licked our hand. I'm keeping her up here. I also like her loyalty over her like daughters. That's very attractive, I think. Mother Miranda? Lame. Boo! Get your own daughter. Oh wait! You don't have any! Boo! The moral guy, I actually thought he was pretty cool. B-A. B-A. He's one of these. Chat, spent a lot of time with the Duke while you were picking up Lulusis. Putting him up here. Thank you for taking care of chat, Duke. Oh, this Meow Meow sneezing. I'm sorry. He's actually really cool. I really did not mind him. It was kind of a... He was very humble. I'm keeping you down here. Oh, Rosemary. Eh. Actually, maybe even lame. Now I'm thinking, what would have happened if she did decide... If Ethan did fail and she did become her daughter. Is she from... I don't know where these guys are from, actually. Do I know any of these characters? We had a nun in Resident Evil. What? Who are these people? Oh, Jessica. I know her. I've seen clips. She hits on Chris. I have no thoughts. I feel like I've seen her before. The fucking guy from the fucking movie! He beats the crap out of Chris for some reason. I don't know how, but he does it. Lame. He's right next to this guy. Actually, they look kind of similar. Wait, isn't he the guy that tries to marry Rebecca? Oh, you're so lame, bro. Bro, just get another wife. Holy crap. You need to move on, bro. Who was she? Never mind. And then her goon, his goon. You're kind of teetering on lame. Yeah, your dad was cooler. She looks familiar. These two ladies look familiar to me. One of them is from Dark Side Chronicles, I think. I don't know which one it is. I think it was her, because the render looks a little familiar. Well, I don't know any of these characters, so I'm just gonna leave them behind. But this is my tier list. These guys are so lame. Holy crap. League of Lames. Actually, I feel a little bad for Rose. I'm just gonna put you up here. You should be all ashamed of yourself. You know, if Resident Evil has an office, I feel like these guys should be in the wall of shame. Yeah, so that when these guys, or when the good guys bring in the bad guys for interrogation, they will look at these faces and go, "Ah, dang, I should never be turned out like them." Bro was a nerd who didn't pick his, who never fought his battles. This guy was a lame-o because he did the whole thing with Rebecca and it was really cringe, and also his fighting style was stupid. I don't actually know. Maybe it was just kind of okay. Like his fight battles were just okay. Chief Irons, he's lame because of all the things that he does in the remake. Boo. Bad. He also scares Sherry, who is my favorite character, so lame. Pick on someone your own size. William Birkin. I mean, he looks like he's a weeping baby. Lame. I feel like bro cried more than Sherry. Oh, this one guy. I forget what his name is. It's like N something. Lame. He talked so much shit only to get one shot by Jill. Lame. I don't even know. His character was so underwhelming. He was like a sea creature. We're like, see you later. I hate your stupid thumb ring. Lame. You were actually one of the well-written or most fleshed out characters in Resident Evil 7, but you were lame for all the things that you did. Lame. Mother Miranda, get your own family instead of involving other people. Lame. And this girl, she was just had no aura. None of these people do. You guys are just meh. I just don't know much about you, or I just thought your character was meh. Leon, you're cool. Just not my favorite. He really did look like Sanji in this one. But his 4 and 9 look pretty cool. Marvin, you're a really cool character. I forget what your name is. I know it's T something. You were pretty cool. We didn't get to see a lot of you though. Luis. Oh, your send-off was so good. You're a good character. Oh, the sisters. You're kind of cool. They were kind of cool. Their fights was pretty fun. The merchant. It was pretty cool. The Moro guy. Should you be down here? I don't know. I think you're up here metaphorically. Rebecca, my beloved. If you were fleshed out more, I bet you would be up here. Jill, if only you were fleshed out more, you would also be up here. Carlos, actually, I think you're okay. I'm sorry. I think you're just okay. He devised an elaborate biotech to exact revenge, but he's just simping Rebecca. I know, yeah. When I was watching the movie, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Lame. God. I would be embarrassed if that was my villain origin story. Actually, no, it's a valid villain origin story. I just don't think it should have been a motivator. Bad. How does someone like Irons become chief of police? Seriously? Right? You're a bad person. I found Luis way more charismatic than Leon personally. I think they were both charismatic. He's just okay. But Leon 4, Remake 4, and Leon R E9 is up here for me, I think. What was I doing? Oh, right. Ashley! Ashley! So cute. I think her face model is just so gorgeous. I love her. Can't wait to get to know you better in RE4 OG. I remember this guy, he was very helpful to us. And every time I saw him, I felt so calm. He was so reliable. And so was Sheva. I love you. I miss you. I hope that she's doing well. Helena was pretty cool. She was kind of a baddie. But I'm remembering the time that she kept avoiding telling me her story. She really is interchangeable though. Lady Demetress. Hot. Up here. The Duke. He's pretty cool too. I think what solidified was my like for him was when he was driving us, Ethan, back to the final battle. Actually, I think you're kind of up here. You're okay. Now for my S tier, Ballet. He's so cool. Actually, he's kind of lame, if I'm gonna be honest. But when he's being so genuine and vulnerable, I think it's so cute. Chris! My number one. I love you, Chris. I don't know if I want to be you or be with you. I love him. Mr. X is up there. Because I think he's a really good, like, stalker. I think his AI is really good. Yeah. Whisker! Whisker! Yeah! He's only up here. I'm reminding you of your place. You're only up here because of the fanfics. Okay, I'm just reminding you. Sherry! I love her. God, I love her so much. If there was, like, merch, I would love to get merch of her. Ada was pretty cool. I think my favorite Ada is Ada, Resident Evil 2. But yeah, that would have to be my favorite Resident Evil. And also, 6 isn't bad either. I love how nonchalant she is. And there are actually some parts in... Actually, Resident Evil 2 and 2 and 6 showcase more of her dorky side. Because there are some one-liners that are so, like, lame. But because she says it, it actually comes out very cheesy and cute. So I kind of like that she has a hidden cute side. Also, the teddy bear key charm. Yeah, she comes off as a very confident and sexy femme fatale. But she has a secret soft side to her. And I like that. She actually has a lot of depth. Claire I really like. I hope we get to see more of her being a tomboy. I think the one part that I loved, I fell in love with Claire, was when she was fighting the G3 Birkin. And there was a shot with her boots and her like coming down and like, you know, I thought that shot was so cool. There's freaking Crowder. I love you. I think you're so silly. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to replay RE4 and beat you up in your own battle. Your own domain. I really want to defeat him in hardcore mode. But yeah, I really like Crowder. Because he's so evil. There's Jake. Oh my gosh, I might need to put you back in A. He's cool. He's interchangeable. I think he's really cool. And then Pierce. Beloved. He's just so helpful and so attentive and so like, yeah. And I love that he's not afraid to speak up against Chris, who's like being very crazy. I love that. God, I really like this overall list. Well, I feel like Leon should be higher. Chris is the man. He is. One day I would love to do like a tier list of all the Chris's. Well, I guess I could do it right now, real quick. Yeah, Chris 1. Well, 1, 5, 6. Revelations. We're all good. 8, it was really good too. Actually, that's all of them, huh? Yeah, actually, all of the Chris's are pretty good. Never mind. This tier list did not work. Actually, I love all Weskers except for freaking Resident Evil 4 Remake. I think it looks so lame. Resident Evil 4 Remake Wesker is over here, by the way. Everyone else is up here, though. My king. And yeah, I think that is it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed the marathon. And I hope you guys enjoyed this stream as well. I am also flexible, so this could change anytime as well. But overall, I had a really fun experience with Resident Evil. And I want to sincerely thank you guys for joining me on my journey and experiencing Resident Evil together. Again, I will probably stream more Resident Evils in the future, but I think now I will call it here and go make some dinner because I'm starving. I'm gonna make some spaghetti tonight. Campy one-liners from cool characters are just endearing. It is, especially for Maida. I still think Claire should have had a shot with Leon. What? Okay. Me personally, I don't think they would have worked out though. I feel like if there was anything, it might have been Leon and Ada. But I feel like Claire and Leon. I think it's cute, but I think it's one-sided. I think if Claire did have feelings, I feel like it's one-sided. And I think that kind of makes it really sweet. I really like unrequited love. I love angst. Resident Evil 5 Wesker is top tier, except in his Ouroboros form. How did that one look like? Oh, the one where he was shirtless? What did you say? That was the best one. Ouroboros is SS, of course. Exactly! You get it, you get it. This whole marathon was a blast, and it was great hearing your thoughts and hot takes. I'm glad that you guys had a lot of fun. The Resident Evil marathon was your magnum opus, Lulu. It was amazing. I'm glad that I was able to do an entertaining stream because it was definitely mutual for me. I had so much fun. But it is time to start something new. I'm so glad that we finished right before the New Year's too. I'm glad we're ending the year with a bang, like Resident Evil. Yeah. Well, again, I sincerely thank you guys for joining me on my journey. Next time I'm gonna stream, I want to do something light for the rest of the year. I don't want to do anything too heavy because I want to save it for January, you know? We'll end the year with a bang and we'll start the year with another kind of bang. Yeah, I do have to call it here because my throat is starting to give out. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining me. It was cool to hear your guys' thoughts on this too. And I hope to hear more from in the future as well. Thanks for the stream, Lulu. Have a good night. Hope your throat feels better. Thank you guys. Thanks for the marathon, Lulu. I only caught the tail end of your stream, but I'll catch the vlogs. Yes, please do. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, have a good night, everyone. It was a pleasure serving you all, and I'll see you guys next time. Ochi Lulu. Bye bye. Oh my god. Bye bye, Resident Evil.